Vol 2, Chapter 704, Assassination of Tarkin, Part 1. Lugas arrived at the entrance of the Ariado Planet Administration Center in a hover car and submitted himself to the routine inspection by the guards. His heart raced, and his breaths came in heavy, labored gasps as one of the guards took his personal terminal for scanning. The device contained a memory chip given to him by Tosh, cleverly disguised to blend in with the terminal's components. At first glance, it was indistinguishable from the rest of the terminal's parts, and even a thorough scan would likely identify it as just another component, unless the guard possessed specialized knowledge. Your terminal. The guard suddenly held up Lugas's personal terminal with a stern expression. This. Lugas's mind raced with panic, his body tensing in anticipation of being discovered. However, to his surprise, the guard merely pointed out a cluster of stains on the terminal and said, "You better clean this up, or you'll get a deduction from the sanitation inspector. You know, our governor values cleanliness above all. Also, try to drink less alcohol during work hours." "Oh, yes, I'll take care of it right away," Lugas replied, a wave of relief washing over him. He hastily wiped the stains with his sleeve and proceeded inside with his terminal. Shortly after, two Jedi Knights clad in coarse brown robes approached the guard and inquired, "Has anything unusual been reported here?" The guard snapped to attention and saluted, responding, "Nothing unusual, General." The Jedi Knights exchanged puzzled glances. "Really?" Master Oval mentioned sensing a dangerous aura emanating from this direction, one of them remarked before asking, "Think back carefully. About 20 minutes ago, did anyone entering catch your attention?" The guards exchanged looks, racking their brains before replying, "No. Everyone seemed to be heading to work as usual. Although, I must mention, 4 or 5 individuals appeared to have consumed alcohol. With the ongoing war, it's understandable that people are on edge." The other Jedi suggested, "Keep an eye on those who've been drinking. We can't afford any delays caused by negligence." "Yes, sir," the guard affirmed. "Let's move on, Armando. Perhaps Master Oval's premonition was related to potential work accidents caused by those under the influence," the Jedi Knight speculated as they departed. Lugas reached his workstation and began a routine inspection of the mainframe. Seizing an opportune moment, he discreetly inserted the memory chip Tosh had given him into the mainframe. As he watched the progress bar advance, he estimated it would take about 5 minutes to complete. To avoid suspicion, he busied himself with what appeared to be maintenance tasks. When the progress bar reached approximately 70%, a group of soldiers approached him, led by a captain who said, "I've been observing you. You've been assembling and disassembling equipment repeatedly. What's the purpose?" In a panic, Lugas quickly removed the memory chip and concealed it in his toolbox. He turned to the captain and stammered, My apologies. I was having trouble fitting the parts correctly." The captain scoffed. "It seems General Armando was correct. Some of you who've been drinking are bound to cause trouble. Take him away." The soldiers grabbed Lugas and escorted him out. Amidst the commotion, the toolbox was knocked over, its contents scattering across the floor. Unnoticed by anyone, the memory chip transformed into a small mechanical spider and scurried away. After enduring a lengthy interrogation, Lugas returned to collect his belongings, his spirits low. As he organized his toolbox, he realized the memory chip was missing. A wave of dread washed over him. If anyone found the chip, it would spell disaster. And even if it was merely lost, the incomplete upload, stalled at 70 cent, meant he had failed his mission. The thought of facing the consequences from the enigmatic figure behind the task was enough to send him into a state of near collapse. Yet he dared not show his despair, silently slumping to the ground in defeat. Lying motionless on the ground, the scene shifted to a modest apartment where Super Lotus was busy at the keyboard. "Okay, Big Black, we're now tapped into the communication system of this administrative center. I'm not sure how long it'll be before we're discovered, so you'd better hurry," she said. "The progress is only at 70%. It's not complete yet," Tosh replied, his brow furrowed in concentration. "Actually, it's effectively complete at 35%. The rest of the progress bar is just for show, to buy us some time. You know, to give the coward a fighting chance," Chow Lianhua explained with a shrug. "And as you can see, he didn't manage to hold out till the end." Very well, Tosh said, vanishing into an invisible state once more. A pair of red eyes briefly illuminated the darkness. Remember, once you're inside the administrative center, I won't be able to contact you. That little robot with the faulty memory is your only link to me. If it's tracked and destroyed, that means they're onto you. I'll try to keep them guessing for as long as I can, Super Lotus assured him. In his state of invisibility, Tosh seized a brief 20-second window during a guard shift change to infiltrate the administrative center. Utilizing his psychic abilities to their fullest, he tapped into the thoughts of everyone around him, identifying their focal points to navigate unseen through their blind spots. He also kept a close watch on the internal communication channels, staying informed about guard movements, detector coverage, and scan intervals. Moving silently, Tosh noticed a guard at a door, distracted by the receptionist's figure. Seizing the moment when she bent over to pour water, Tosh slipped past the guard unnoticed, the slight distortion in the air causing the guard to rub his eyes in confusion. A message over the communicator caught Tosh's attention. Prepare the finest fruits and beverages for the Eastern Conference Room on the 4th floor in 5 minutes. Staff members, please arrive early. A smirk played on Tosh's lips as he made his way to the 5th floor, finding a spot across a corridor that offered a limited but sufficient view of the 4th floor conference room entrance. Setting up his C-10 sniper rifle, he aimed at the door, waiting. After 10 minutes, a group of about a dozen military-uniformed individuals approached, led by Wilhoff Tarkin. Tosh's finger tensed on the trigger, ready to fire, but something felt off. In that moment, the connection between him and the little robot was abruptly cut. This revised passage corrects grammatical errors, improves sentence structure for clarity and flow, and enhances descriptive details for better imagery. It also ensures logical consistency in character actions and dialogues, while removing redundant phrases and clarifying ambiguous parts. Vol 2, Chapter 705, Assassination of Tarkin, Part 2. Gabriel Tosh's reaction was swift. Abandoning his initial target, he leaped out of the window and scaled the wall with astonishing speed before stealthily entering the kitchen. Meanwhile, a squad of guards, led by a Jedi Knight, arrived at Tosh's previous location. They began deploying various sensors to scour the area for clues, releasing hundreds of unmanned detectors to surveil the vicinity comprehensively. By then, Tosh had already left the kitchen. Moving swiftly, he ascended the stairs from another direction. Encountering more than a dozen soldiers head-on, Tosh sensed the leading officer might be privy to crucial information. Utilizing his invisibility, he surged forward, his butterfly knife slashing the throats of 4 soldiers in a blink. Simultaneously, he unleashed a powerful psychic shockwave, stunning several others nearby. His movements were like lightning, eliminating the remaining soldiers in under 10 seconds. Seizing the head of the chief officer, Tosh revealed his red eyes from the distorted air, giving the officer the chilling sensation of being drawn into a vortex. After leaving the officer in a catatonic state, Tosh vanished once more. At the top floor of the administrative center, a middle-aged Jedi Master, roused from meditation, sensed the disturbance. "Come on," he declared, igniting his lightsaber and leaping from the balcony. Concurrently, a piercing alarm echoed throughout the building as the bodies of the patrol soldiers were discovered. Amidst the alarm, Tosh reached the 6th floor. From the officer's thoughts, he learned of an elevator engineer's routine maintenance visit to this area, hinting at an emergency escape route. Piecing together fragments from Governor Tarkin's mind, Tosh surmised that Tarkin's personal emergency refuge might be located here. Indeed, the Governor Tarkin he had previously targeted was merely a decoy. Realizing the deception, Tosh withdrew to strategize his next move. Approaching a seemingly ordinary wall, Tosh placed his hand against it, sensing its secrets. He then discreetly planted a bomb in a corner and retreated to a small indoor garden across the way. From there, he aimed his AGR-28 sniper rifle at the bomb's location. As the alarm blared, guards scoured the area, but the bomb's cleverly hidden placement eluded detection. Even when guards equipped with invisibility-detecting devices searched the garden where Tosh was concealed, a subtle manipulation of psychic energy convinced them nothing was amiss, prompting them to move on. Sensing activity behind the wall, Tosh smirked and whispered, "Farewell, Wilhuff Tarkin." He then detonated the bomb at the precise moment. The explosion tore through the wall, revealing a shower of sparks and an elevator caught in the blast. Despite the explosion, the elevator's robust defenses meant it was only slightly damaged, with minor gaps appearing in its structure. The breach in the wall and the elevator's damaged seams aligned perfectly, creating an opening. In a split second, Gabriel Tosh pulled the trigger. Through the narrow gap in the elevator, he caught sight of a man with a receding hairline, a gaunt face, and an expression of sheer terror, Wilhelm Tarkin. The 8mm caliber caseless bullet, propelled at an ultra-high speed by electromagnetic acceleration, was on a direct course to penetrate Governor Tarkin's forehead, perfectly timed with the alignment of the wall and elevator gaps. This time, there was no stand-in to take the hit. However, in that critical moment, a streak of blue light flashed by, and the bullet, now in midair, was sliced in half. The rotation of the caseless bullet ceased, and its trajectory veered off course, causing it to harmlessly strike the wall with a soft puff. As the elevator continued its descent amidst a shower of sparks, Gabriel Tosh's brow furrowed in frustration. Then he saw a figure, a middle-aged man clad in a brown, coarse cloth robe, wielding a blue lightsaber, charging towards him. "Jedi Knight," Tosh sneered, firing her shot in an instant. But the bullet was effortlessly blocked by the Jedi Master using the Force, and the lightsaber was swung with precision towards Tosh. Invisibility devices proved futile against the Jedi's abilities. Tosh was forced to use his AGR-28 sniper rifle as a shield, but it was swiftly cut in two by the lightsaber. Seizing the moment of the Jedi Master's slight hesitation, Tosh unleashed a burst of psychic shock, creating an opportunity to turn and flee. Meanwhile, at an apartment on the outskirts of the city, Super Lotus was organizing her personal terminal when suddenly a figure appeared and snatched it away. In the same motion, a bomb was attached to the terminal, and both were thrown outside the door. The ensuing explosion obliterated the terminal, but the blast and the shockwave were mysteriously diverted by an unseen force. A Jedi Knight, donning a brown robe and brandishing a green lightsaber, approached amidst the chaos. Super Lotus felt herself being lifted off the ground by someone who, despite carrying her, did not slow down and continued to fire at the approaching Jedi Knight. It was then she realized her rescuer was a soldier from the Solarian Special Forces. The Jedi Knight, fueled by anger, deflected the incoming bullets with his lightsaber and advanced towards them. However, a barrage of bullets from a window forced the Jedi Knight to momentarily halt his advance. At that moment, a bomb hidden within the apartment detonated, causing a massive explosion that affected the entire building. Several Solarian Special Forces soldiers quickly escorted Super Lotus through the back streets and alleys, where they encountered army soldiers and special agents. Despite running out of ammunition, the Special Forces soldiers managed to eliminate more than 30 opponents in less than 10 seconds, before swiftly evacuating the area. Vol 2, Chapter 706. No trace. Super Lotus only felt a respirator being forcefully placed into his mouth before he was hurled into the water by the soldiers of the Solarian Special Forces. As members of an amphibious race, the Solarians moved with remarkable agility in the water. They swiftly utilized the ocean currents to escape from the fortress, now ominously enveloped in deadly spikes. Meanwhile, Gabriel Tosh materialized in an abandoned house across from the apartment where they had previously sought refuge. His appearance was somewhat disheveled. His combat uniform bore multiple tears, revealing deep wounds beneath. Unperturbed, he methodically treated his injuries with a stoic expression. Suddenly, a sense of awareness overcame him. Grabbing a pair of binoculars, he peered towards the administrative center. There, he observed a distressing scene. Dozens of individuals, appearing to be staff members, were being led to the beach by a large contingent of soldiers. Their hands were bound behind their backs, and blindfolds obscured their vision as they were lined up in a row. Among them was Lugus, the man Tosh had previously coerced. A sinister smile crept across Tosh's face. "I'm sorry, brother, but I need to use you to make my escape," he muttered apologetically. He then retrieved a small doll fashioned with Lugus's hair, and with a butterfly knife, he methodically sliced the doll into several pieces. Simultaneously, on the beach, Lugas's body horrifically split apart as if he were a mere rag doll, his body neatly severed into sections as blood sprayed into the air. The soldiers, poised to execute the prisoners, were taken aback. Their blasters were incapable of inflicting such a gruesome spectacle. Tosh proceeded to the kitchen, ignited the stove, and tossed 2 additional dolls into the flames. Exhausted by his actions, he leaned against the wall, the sinister red glow fading from his eyes to reveal a pair of pupilless whites. Soon after, news of a sudden fire erupting in an apartment on the 179th floor of number 224 Chima Street reached the authorities. The fire's location, coinciding with the home address of Lugas, a death row inmate suspected of conspiring with separatist spies to assassinate Governor Tarkin, along with the bizarre manner of Lugas's death, immediately drew the attention of the military police, prompting a swift response. Seizing this distraction, Tosh stealthily exited the city, located a pre-arranged hoverbike, and sped towards the designated rendezvous point. Within the administrative center, Jedi Master Oval examined the corpses of the soldiers slain by Tosh. Kneeling, he scrutinized the wounds. All were killed by precise throat cuts, executed with incredible speed, beyond the capability of ordinary individuals, Master Ovali observed. Additionally, some exhibit signs of being stunned by a force shock. This is peculiar. He closed his eyes, attuning himself to the force, then reopened them moments later, a hint of perplexity in his voice. It is indeed the force, but its application is unlike anything familiar to us, neither Jedi nor Sith. Could this be the work of the legendary Kozawa warriors? At that moment, his apprentice, Armando, approached with a bow. Master, I've investigated the fire scene. The victims were a woman in her 30s and a boy about 10 years old. Oddly, they seem to be the origin of the fire, which then spread to the surrounding furniture. Master Ovale's brow furrowed in thought. The source of the fire? Are you certain this wasn't spontaneous combustion? It wasn't spontaneous combustion, Master. Both bodies were burned from the outside in. Intriguingly, the woman's fire originated in front of her body, while the boy's ignited at his back. There were no signs of anyone else present. It's as if the flames materialized out of thin air, Armando explained, his expression mirroring his master's concern. Master Ovali inquired, "What's Master Denora's opinion?" Master Denora mentioned that there's some residual force at the scene, and she's currently investigating, Armando replied. To cause spontaneous combustion, the force technique employed by this individual or group is entirely unique, possibly indicating a new force sect, Master Ovali observed. And they possess the ability to become invisible, Armando added. I engaged briefly in combat with him. This man is highly skilled, yet he wields no weapon akin to a lightsaber. Moreover, his invisibility seems to stem from an unusual application of the Force, augmented by sophisticated weaponry. Such invisibility equipment could only be utilized by an individual. As they were discussing, a group of soldiers approached and reported, General Ovale, Governor Tarkin has awakened and requests your presence. Ovale nodded and, accompanied by Armando, proceeded to the medical center. There, they found Governor Tarkin lying in a medical pod filled with Bacta liquid. Shortly after, a doctor arrived, pressed a few buttons, and drained the Bacta liquid, allowing Tarkin to open his eyes. Dawn Planet is responsible, isn't it? Tarkin asked weakly. It's not confirmed, but all signs point to it as a strong possibility, especially since Governor Suramar was killed in his own administrative capital, Master Oval explained, observing Tarkin closely before adding, given the nature of this assassination, few in the galaxy could evade such a fate, and those who could are unlikely to be found in the Outer Rim. You're very fortunate, Your Excellency. Luck has nothing to do with it, Tarkin said, conserving his energy. I anticipated every possible assassination method and made the necessary preparations. Master Oval nodded in agreement. Your technicians detected the spy droid promptly and deployed a decoy to entrap the assailant. However, the enemy wasn't deceived. Instead, they made a calculated move and discovered an emergency exit, launching a second assassination attempt. Such a response requires a heavy toll in lives. Tarkin gestured weakly and said, Announce my death and request that His Excellency the Speaker organize a grand funeral in my honor. Oval paused, understanding Tarkin's intent, but he still expressed concern. The Separatists have Sith Lords, and the individuals behind this assassination might be unique dark side Force users. They could exploit other methods to ascertain your status. Then, announce that I am incapacitated due to severe injuries and appoint a successor, Tarkin continued. I'll make the arrangements immediately, Master Oval assured. Furthermore, anyone suspected of involvement in this assassination, regardless of their identity, should be interrogated and executed immediately. No exceptions. Tarkin concluded, closing his eyes and ceasing to speak. Hearing this grim command, Master Oval frowned, seemingly wanting to object. However, after another glance at Tarkin, he sighed and departed, leaving the room in silence. Vol 2, Chapter 7-7, The Third Lord. Tarkin is seriously injured and can't manage his duties? This is indeed good news, Tang Xiao remarked with a sneer upon hearing Helmut Zemo's report. So, who will take over as the governor of the 18th Army? Admiral Alvarado of the Republic will succeed him. She's a Christopher Sith, Zemo informed. Tang Xiao furrowed his brows, deep in thought, realizing he was unfamiliar with this individual. Have Mrs. M keep a close watch on the 18th Army for me. It's crucial to confirm Tarkin's condition. Also, inform Matt Horner that we can proceed with limited military operations. This will allow us to test the 18th Army's mobilization and determine if their behavioral patterns have changed. Understood, Zemo acknowledged before departing. After a moment of contemplation, Tang Xiao rose from the sofa, donned a black hood, and made his way to the most secretive compartment aboard the Glory Mothership. Upon opening the hatch, he was greeted by the sight of Sith Lord Darth Tenebris's lifeless body floating in a Bacta jar. However, this time, a new scene unfolded before him. A Bith man, unclothed, stood in an adjacent jar, his physique robust and seemingly in a state of deep slumber. We're almost there. I've nearly obliterated the will of this Bith. Soon his body will be mine, declared a triumphant Darth Tenebris's specter, emerging as a black mist. This individual's fibril density is approximately 6,000, marking him as the most force-sensitive Bith we've encountered, Darth Marthael noted. This mere fibril density can't even unleash a tenth of my original power. But before we finalize the essence transfer, it will suffice, Darth Tenebris remarked. Let's begin, Darth Marthael said, nodding. He proceeded to drain the Bacta tank, disconnect the tubes from the Bith, and using the Force, levitated the body onto the operating table. Be cautious! That's my body, mine! Darth Tenebris roared fiercely. Darth Marthael, unfazed, instructed, Now, stand beside it and follow my lead. Darth Tenebris's specter complied, swirling around as he tapped into the remnants of his dark side powers. Darth Marthael then commenced the essence transfer, a complex and demanding Force technique that only Sith Lords of their caliber could undertake. This technique, leveraging Darth Marthael's power of death, offered Darth Tenebris a chance to see the light of day once more. Despite the limited power in his spectral form, Darth Tenebris's knowledge was unparalleled. His computational abilities, enhanced by the Bith's natural talents, remained formidable. Observing Darth Marthael's technique, he occasionally offered guidance. This unique situation required transferring the essence of a Sith Lord into a Force-sensitive individual, demanding precise control over the dark side of the Force to avoid catastrophic errors. Darth Tenebris was particularly invested in the success of this procedure. Having been slain by Darth Plagueis over 50 years ago, he yearned to experience life once more, to feel a heartbeat and draw breath again. The third wave of the Force deviates by 0.1% from the brain's harmonic rate. When wielding the Force, clear your mind. Overthinking is a bad habit inherited from Plagueis. The Force should flow naturally and instinctively, Darth Tenebris advised, emphasizing the importance of precision in their delicate task. Under the rare tutelage of Darth Tenebris, Darth Marthael was constantly learning and refining his skills. The application of the essence transfer technique this time proved to be far more significant than any of his previous 10,000 attempts. After all, it's not every day that a Sith Lord of such caliber offers himself for the practice of such a complex technique. As time passed, nearly an hour later, with the continuous application of essence transfer, the spectral presence of Darth Tenebris gradually weakened, his voice diminishing until it finally vanished. More than 10 minutes later, Darth Marthael completed the final step of the essence transfer technique. Suddenly, the eyes of the Bithman's body snapped open. He raised his hands, observing them before slowly moving his body, stretching his limbs, then spreading his arms wide and taking a deep, satisfying breath. Ah! This sensation! I can feel my heartbeat, breathe freely, produce sounds by vibrating my cheeks, grasp objects, and stand on my own. This is what it means to be alive, he said, his voice filled with wonder. He turned to Darth Marthael, gratitude evident in his expression. I must admit, I owe you a great debt, Darth Marthael. As promised, I will repay you. We share a common goal, Darth Tenebris, at least for the foreseeable future, Darth Marthael responded. Call me Seguriman, that will be my new name, Darth Tenebris declared. Your original name spelled backward, Ruges Gnome, Darth Marthael noted with a light smile. Indeed. Now, I wish to go outside and experience my new life, Darth Tenebris said, discarding the clothes he had set aside before dressing himself. Darth Marthael then detached a metal hilt from his waist and handed it to Darth Tenebris, who accepted it with a hint of surprise. This was my original lightsaber. The artificial kyber crystal inside has been replaced, but that's inconsequential. It only requires a brief period of attunement to become highly compatible with my original force, Darth Marthael explained. This is a relic I discovered among Darth Plagueis' possessions. I found a suitable crystal and fitted it myself, he added. Very well, Darth Tenebris said, giving Darth Marthael a meaningful look. Sometimes, you don't seem like a typical Sith. I believe that's precisely what I aim for, Darth Marthael replied calmly. With a cold snort, Darth Tenebris turned and walked away. Watching his departure, Darth Marthael's lips curled into an enigmatic smile. At that moment, he couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding for the Galactic Republic, for it now harbored one more Sith Lord. After Darth Tenebris departed, Darth Marthael extended his hand, sensing the dark side of the Force with a profound intensity. The Force throughout the galaxy could be likened to a vast ocean bathed in light. Yet, above this ocean, a layer of stormy clouds obscured the sun, preventing its warmth from reaching the waters below. This once radiant sea was gradually losing its warmth. Beneath the surface, two powerful undercurrents, each representing a faction, swirled and expanded, feeding off the sea's energy to grow increasingly violent despite their conflict. Darth Tenebris' resurrection had little impact on the state of the Force. The two dominant undercurrents remained. The larger, known as Sidious, and the smaller yet resilient one, Malthael, continued their dance of power. It was clear that destiny did not favor Tenebris, at least not at the moment. Marthael realized that Tenebris' respect towards him stemmed from his ability to perceive destiny at that critical juncture. However, one should never underestimate a Sith Lord, especially one who mentored Darth Plagueis. Amidst these undercurrents, a new element emerged, a reef so dark it was nearly invisible. Though minuscule, it absorbed every grain of sand stirred up by the undercurrents, slowly growing in size. This reef seemed to amplify the storm, making the Sea of the Force even more tumultuous. Tenebris had taught Marthael for over a decade that the Force had a will of its own, a concept that contradicted Darth Plagueis' teachings. Yet, Marthael found himself aligning more with Tenebris' perspective, believing it to be closer to the true nature of the Force. Marthael's decision to resurrect Tenebris was driven by his belief that he was ready to advance to the next stage of his journey. This realization came after a failed assassination attempt on Wilhoff Tarkin. With the ongoing conflict between the Fourth Civilization and the 18th Army, as well as Severance Tan's expedition, Marthael knew it was time to delve deeper. Sensing Darth Sidious's growing power through the dark side of the Force, Marthael felt a connection, as they shared the same lineage. After delegating his immediate responsibilities and ensuring Francis Underwood acted covertly as governor, Marthael embarked on a secretive mission aboard the Red Comet to an uncharted star system. Before Count Dooku's betrayal of the Jedi Order, he had erased the coordinates of 38 planets from the Jedi database, including Dagobah, the planet Marthael sought to explore in search of answers about his essence and origins. As the Red Comet navigated through space towards the lush green planet of Dagobah, Marthael entrusted the piloting to a navigation droid and retreated into meditation. He pondered his identity, Tang Xiao from Earth, now in the Star Wars universe, transformed into Darth Marthael. He reflected on his essence, questioning who Marthael truly was, an angel of death from Diablo, a figure shrouded in darkness. Amidst his meditation, Marthael was confronted by the voice of Darth Plagueis, chastising him for his lack of self-awareness and questioning the significance of his chosen name, Darth Marthael. This moment of introspection and external challenge marked a pivotal point in Marthael's journey, pushing him to confront his identity and purpose within the vast, conflicted sea of the Force. I had never seen myself until that moment, and I couldn't comprehend it either. Despite never having played Diablo, I somehow uttered the name. You can't imagine what I witnessed in the vast expanse of the Force. It was more than just a name. That's a name. The name of a virtual character in a game. Malthael, the Angel of Death, I explained. When the power was bestowed upon this name, it transcended the virtual realm. It became Marthael, not Darth Marthael. Darth Plagueis responded icily. Why do you refer to it as Darth Marthael? What did I see? Darth Plagueis' voice reverberated around us. What did I feel? He continued to probe. What did I teach you? His words struck like thorns, piercing directly into Darth Marthael's soul. Overwhelmed, Das Masai let out a tormented scream, his voice echoing painfully as the red comet, engulfed in thick smoke, plummeted from tens of thousands of meters before crashing into an untouched jungle. In the capital of the Galactic Republic, Coruscant, within the Supreme Strategic Command of the Republic's Command Center, a senior staff officer approached Master Windu. General, this is our plan for the near future. Please review it. After activating the memory and scrutinizing its contents, Master Windu remarked, General Grievous's recent maneuvers on the planet Ord Mantell warrant our attention. This is the headquarters of the 8th Army, and there have been numerous anomalies within their jurisdiction. Indeed, Jedi Master Procon, who stood nearby, added, the Interstellar Banking Association's fleet has amassed on the planets Merlinster and Makito in the 8th Army's jurisdiction, clashing with the 4th Group's fleet. They were incensed, yet refrained from any drastic measures. Conversely, the periphery of the 8th Army's area has seen 5 colonies attacked by unknown forces. At this juncture, General Grievous's actions demand our attention. After a moment of contemplation, he suggested, perhaps I should personally lead the forces to the planet Ord Mantell. Master Windu shook his head. I will go to Ord Mantell. You need to recover from the injuries you sustained in the battle against the Fang Fang, he advised Procon, who then fell silent. Turning to Jedi Master Depa Billaba, who stood on the other side with a complex expression, Master Windu said, I have a combat mission for you, Master Billaba. Depa Billaba, looking away indifferently, responded, Proceed. As long as it contributes to our victory, I will undertake it. Master Windu displayed a message from the memory on the holographic screen, stating, Having just annihilated the separatist super battleship Venom, morale throughout the Republic is at an all-time high. We must capitalize on this opportunity to press our advantage and expand our gains. Where to? Inquired Depa Billaba. Harun Kal. Master Windu indicated a location on the star map with a grave tone. That's your homeland, Depa Billaba observed. Ignoring her comment, Master Windu continued. The civil war on Harun Kal has raged for 29 years. Until now, the Republic had no justification to intervene in the planet's internal conflict. However, the planet's warlords have now aligned with the Separatists. He gazed at the yellowish planet on the star map, solemnly adding, My presence on this planet could compromise my position, hence you are the only one I can entrust with this mission. You, my former apprentice, Master Depa Billaba. Depa Billaba stared at the star map, her expression blank. It was evident that the rift between her and Master Windu was widening, yet she had not voiced any objections publicly. Master Windu elaborated. Harun Kal is home to a unique fungus that proliferates extensively. This fungus possesses the capability to consume metals, rendering all mechanical equipment on the planet highly susceptible to attrition. According to our staff's calculations, seizing this opportunity, the civil war ravaging the galaxy showed no signs of abating. To expel the warlords who had embraced separatism and reclaim the planet of Harankar was a daunting task. If achieved, it would significantly hinder the separatist robot army's ability to retake the planet. In order to hasten the end of this conflict, I will journey to the planet of Harankar, declared Master Depa Balaba with a calm determination. Master Windu nodded in agreement before turning his attention to Obi-Wan Kenobi. Master Kenobi, you and Anakin Skywalker are to proceed to the planet Bakula. Intelligence suggests that the Separatists are planning an offensive there. It is imperative that you thwart their advance. Obi-Wan Kenobi acknowledged the order with a nod. Understood, Master Windu. May the Force be with you, Master Windu Imp, arted, his voice carrying the weight of the challenging times. After the strategy meeting, Master Mace Windu sought out Depa Balaba for a private conversation. With a grave tone, he began, I must share some distressing news with you, Master Balaba. There's no greater tragedy than this war, Depa Balaba interjected, her voice tinged with sorrow. It's about Master Sora Bulk. He has succumbed to the dark side, revealed Mace Windu, his words heavy with disappointment. Depa Balaba's reaction was one of shock and disbelief. Master Sora Bulk, that's impossible. He is a Jedi Master of great renown, his mastery of the lightsaber considered unparalleled. He was instrumental in the refinement of the Vapad lightsaber technique, building upon the seventh form, Juyo. How could he fall? Mace Windu explained. Master Sora Bulk grew increasingly disillusioned with the Jedi Order, particularly distressed by the outbreak of war. 5 days ago, he convened a meeting with several Jedi Knights and Masters who shared his concerns. I was among those invited. However, the meeting was ambushed by separatists led by Count Dooku's apprentice, Asajj Ventress. Initially, I believed Sora Bulk to be a casualty, until it was discovered that Ventress's shuttle was hidden within the estate. Sora Bulk has turned to the dark side. Depa Balaba remained silent, absorbing the grim revelation. Mace Windu continued. The allure of the dark side, in part facilitated by the Vapad technique, played a role in his fall. Vapad was designed to harness both the light and dark aspects of the Force, creating a formidable style. However, it treads a fine line between the two, risking complete corruption. Are you suggesting I am at risk as well? Depa Balaba's voice grew cold, her patience thinning. The ongoing civil war on Harankar has been brutal, beyond what many can imagine. I would have preferred to address it personally, but my family's involvement in the conflict and the situation on Onderon demand my attention elsewhere. Thus, I entrust this mission to you, hoping that your practice of Vapad does not lead you astray. Mace Windu expressed his concerns. My resolve is unwavering. I shall not falter, Depa Balaba asserted before departing, leaving further conversation behind. Since the 21st day of the Battle of Geonosis, the galaxy had been engulfed in a devastating civil war. The Confederation of Independent Systems, led by the Outer Rim territories, had seceded from the Galactic Republic, igniting the conflict. The war escalated rapidly, with both sides suffering immense losses. By September of 22 BBY, the Confederation's momentum seemed unstoppable. The Galactic Republic was forced into retreat across numerous fronts, losing control of many systems. The Republic's military was stretched thin, suffering significant defeats and losing much of its mobility. In these dire circumstances, the Republic faced an uphill battle to regain its footing and counter the relentless advance of the Confederation. In a pivotal moment, the destruction of the formidable super battleship Fang Fang breathed new hope into the dire state of the conflict. Meanwhile, the shadowy figures orchestrating the war from behind the scenes began to set their intricate plans into motion. The resurrection of Darth Tenebris marked a significant escalation in the ongoing struggle between the Jedi Order and the Sith Lords. This conflict, already complex, was further complicated by internal strife among the Sith themselves. The fate of the Milky Way and the future of the Fourth Civilization hung in the balance, becoming increasingly uncertain as these events unfolded. Note, the provided text appears to reference a mix of elements from different franchises, including Star Wars, and does not directly relate to Harry Potter. Additionally, there's a mention of a TXT download address and phone reading, which seems out of context. These parts have been omitted in the revision for coherence and focus on narrative enhancement. Volume 2, Chapter 709, The Death Soldier, Part 1. In the year 22 BBY, during the month of September, a Chariot-class battlecruiser journeyed through space. This was no ordinary Chariot-class battlecruiser. Its hull bore the marks of numerous battles, with scars and breaches that told tales of relentless conflict. The once vibrant red and white paint, a hallmark of the Republic, was now faded and patchy. In a bid to remain inconspicuous, the emblem of the Republic, resembling a gear, had been meticulously removed. On the bridge of this war-torn vessel, 2 Jedi Knights stood in silence, their coarse brown robes a stark contrast to the sleek surroundings. To an observer familiar with the Force, it would be clear that these 2 figures, a middle-aged man and a young girl, were enveloped in the aura of the dark side. A combat staff officer approached them, standing at attention. "General Shenjan, we have arrived at the planet Kessel. However, this planet serves as a prison and has been cut off from the Republic for years. I'm not sure we'll find the supplies we're looking for here." Shenjan lifted his head slightly, revealing a chin marked by the passage of time, his stubble resembling untended weeds. Gazing at the holographic projection of Kessel, with its irregular shape and diameter of approximately 7,900 kilometers, he sighed. Kessel is largely unregulated now, and the situation there is complex. However, I know of a man named Kassar, a teacher, who might be able to assist us in acquiring the supplies we need. Teacher? Prison? Supplies? I'm struggling to see the connection, Master. The young Jedi apprentice, Nat Rice, inquired with a puzzled look. Shenjan explained. 3 years ago, Kessel was the site of a riot. The prisoners overpowered the guards, effectively taking control of the planet. Since then, they've turned to spice smuggling, a venture that has grown significantly, partly due to support from the Hutts. It's through these operations that we might secure our supplies, albeit through illegal means. And this Kassal Fogg, the teacher? Nat Rice asked for clarification. Before the riot, Kassal Fogg spearheaded a prisoner re-education initiative under the Galactic Republic. He taught the inmates on Kessel to read and write, becoming a beacon of hope in a place devoid of light. Despite the chaos of the riot, the prisoners spared him, continuing to seek his guidance. I've met him before, and I believe he will assist us once again, Shenjan recounted. Nat Rice nodded, absorbing the information, but remained silent. Shenjan and Nat Rice descended to Kessel in a shuttle, landing in Cassandra, the planet's capital, and a bustling spaceport. The streets were teeming with fierce, racially diverse individuals, most sporting tattoos and carrying outdated blaster rifles, remnants from before the Republic's time. As they navigated through the crowd, a woman with a large sniper rifle strapped to her back bumped into Shenjan. He deftly avoided a collision, but the woman, feigning a stumble, approached them with a warning. "You 2 outsiders, watch your step." "Take me to see Kassal Fogg," Shenjan commanded, raising his hand slightly. Under the influence of the Force, the woman's demeanor changed. "Okay, I'll take you to see Kassal Fogg," she responded, her voice dull. She led them through the chaotic streets to a small office building that, despite the surrounding anarchy, still bore the architectural style of the Galactic Republic. Inside, they were greeted by a middle-aged man wearing glasses, his demeanor gentle and welcoming, a stark contrast to the world outside. The man stood at an imposing height of at least 2 meters. Despite his towering stature, his frame was lean rather than muscular, giving him a somewhat slender appearance. "Long time no see, Master Shen," greeted the middle-aged man, identified as Kassal Fogg by Shenjan. "May I inquire as to what brings you to the planet of Keshel?" "Vengeance," Shenjan responded succinctly. "I have a chaser-class battlecruiser at my disposal, and I'm in need of supplies." "Vengeance?" Kassal Fogg's brow furrowed in concern. Shenjan elaborated. "A separatist general by the name of Severance Tan launched an attack on the core world of the Republic, resulting in the death of my apprentice, Stam Reese." "My brother as well," interjected Nat Rice. "Then pursuing this separatist general seems like a justified course of action. But why involve yourself in a quest for revenge and venture to Keshel for supplies?" Kassal Fogg questioned, puzzled by the motivations. Shenjan explained, "My actions are not sanctioned by the Republic. My investigations have led me to believe that the Hutts may be involved in this affair. That's why I ventured into Hutt space." After a moment of contemplation, Kassal Fogg replied, "I should be able to procure supplies for you. If you have sufficient transport ships, you can land them without needing a battleship. However, this will require a significant amount of money." I currently have around 50,000 Republic credits at my disposal, Shenjon mentioned. Firstly, that amount is insufficient. Secondly, Hut Space does not deal in credit points. The prevalent currency here is Oop-Yoopy, Colossal Fog sighed, expressing his inability to assist further due to his occupation as a teacher. Is there any way to acquire the necessary funds? Shenjon inquired. After some thought, Colossal Fog suggested, I've heard rumors that the Republic suffered a significant defeat on Mimban, with an army almost completely annihilated. Perhaps you could find something of value there. If you managed to secure supplies, you wouldn't need to come to Keshel, which is far from peaceful. Shenjon nodded in agreement, then handed over another memory chip. Please help me gather information on a person named Yapu. He was a promising engineer for the Republic who later defected to the Separatists. He's currently developing secret weapons for them. Note 1. Xiaojing brought this riot ahead of time, but this is not the key thing. Vol 2, Chapter 710, The Dead Soldier, Part 2. Alright, Yap, I'll keep an eye out. But aren't you pursuing Severance Tan? She's been heavily promoted by the Separatists recently, Casalfo Greg mentioned. Yap is developing a secret weapon for the Separatists. By tracking him, I might uncover this secret weapon and subsequently locate Severance Tan, Shenjon explained, his gaze sharpening with a hint of lethal intent. Keep watch. I'll head to planet Mingsaka as soon as possible, Casal Fog agreed with a nod. Shenjon steered his warship toward planet Mingban, a world enveloped in humid jungles, shrouded by clouds, and plagued by perpetual storms, making its environment exceptionally harsh. Upon arrival, the aftermath of a battle was immediately evident. Debris littered the space around the planet, including a section of a Generous-class communication frigate's hull, relatively intact among the ruins. Garbage dealers had gathered, deploying drones to collect the wreckage for resale. The sight of Shenjon's Chaser-class battlecruiser sent the garbage dealers scattering, mistaking it for a Republic fleet ship. We haven't found any Republic battleship wreckage in space. It might have been scavenged by garbage dealers or crashed on the planet, Nat Rice observed. I hope it's the latter. That way, we might find more supplies. The fighter jets won't last long in this atmosphere. We should land, Shenjon decided, his mind clouded with thoughts of vengeance. He was willing to sacrifice and forsake everything for his goal. But landing will leave us with insufficient fuel to escape the planet's gravity, a staff officer cautioned. If we don't secure supplies, our mission ends here, Shenjon countered, surveying his crew. Months of relentless pursuit had left even the civilian officials aboard the battleship looking worn and rugged, their uniforms now resembling those of a band of uniformly dressed bandits. Yet, the determination in their eyes brought Shenjon a sense of solace. The defeat at Salabin was a stain on the honor of the Republic's soldiers, a disgrace they were determined to cleanse by capturing the extractor and eliminating Severance Tan. Despite the Republic's orders to cease their pursuit, especially within Hut Space, Shenjon and his crew remained undeterred. We will succeed, Shenjon declared, ordering the battleship to land. The Chaser-class battlecruiser descended into Mingban's gravitational field and atmosphere, discovering two similar class battlecruisers had already crashed on the planet. The navigator adjusted their course, aiming for a relatively flat wasteland near the crash sites. Shenjon divided the Marines into 10 teams to investigate the larger wreckage sites. The lack of supplies was evident. Even the clone soldiers' polymer alloy armors were marred with defects and stains, a testament to their dire situation. Despite encountering sporadic robot forces on the planet, the crew's resilience, honed through countless battles and the scarcity of supplies, remained unbroken. General, we've discovered a significant amount of encapsulated blasting gas, one of the teams reported, signaling a potential turning point in their desperate quest for supplies and vengeance. The energy from the turbo laser cannon was immense. Additionally, one of the battleships had a relatively intact engine part from which we could extract enough hyperfuel, reported a clone trooper with palpable excitement. Shenjon N glanced in the opposite direction and instructed, organize the recycling of materials immediately. Nat, let's head over there and take a look. The young Jedi apprentice nodded in agreement. They made their way towards a hilly area that seemed to have been a battlefield. Along their path, they encountered numerous corpses of clone troopers and remnants of robots. After passing a position fortified by several ATE walkers, which appeared to be the last stronghold of the clone troopers, they noticed an abundance of robot wreckage, with almost every step landing on a piece of robot debris. Shenjan suddenly halted, examining the bullet holes on one of the robots, and remarked, "This robot was destroyed no more than an hour ago." "Could there be survivors?" Nat Rice asked, intrigued. Shenjan nodded affirmatively. "Let's proceed. They must have spotted our battleship by now." They hadn't gone much further when they encountered 4 clone troopers armed and approaching. "Ah, a Jedi Knight! I thought the Republic had completely abandoned us," exclaimed the leader, noticeably without his helmet and displaying a somewhat unconventional demeanor. "General!" One of the clone soldiers, who appeared somber and frail, snapped to attention and saluted, the only one among them to do so. Shenjan observed the 4, noting their severely damaged combat armors. One had even improvised by using a robot armor plate to bolster his chest defense. "How long have you been stranded here?" Shenjan inquired. "It's been 2 months. That wasteland over there is swarming with robots. Unable to secure supplies from the wreckage of the battleship, we've been hiding here, fending off those metal monstrosities," the leading soldier explained, gesturing broadly. "Ha! It's a shame, but still, it's not enough. I need to eat more so I can destroy more robots," another notably robust clone soldier exclaimed. "Well, your squad's situation seems quite unique, but you can join us now," Shenjan offered. "Allow me to introduce myself. I'm Jedi Master Shenjan, and this is my apprentice, Nat Rice. We're on a mission to track down a secret weapon of the Separatists." "Ha! I'm CT-8942, but you can call me Hunter," the leading clone trooper finally responded, raising his hand in a salute. "We were originally part of the 44th Special Operations Forces of the Republic. CT-9904, reporting for duty. They usually call me Crosshair." The only soldier who had saluted earlier stood and saluted once again. "CT-7751, name's Wrecker King." "Ha!" the robust clone trooper replied with a hearty laugh. "CT-9622, Technician," the last clone trooper introduced himself. "All right, welcome back to the team," Shenjan nodded in acknowledgement. Vol 2, Chapter 711, Scientific Research Projects. "Are there any other survivors in this area, Sergeant Hunter?" Nat Ress inquired, looking around. Sergeant Hunter shook his head. "Not in the vicinity where we've been operating. However, 5 days ago, I caught a glimpse of a fire in the woods across from here." He pointed in the direction of the distant woods. Only he would notice that. His eyesight is sharp, though his strength could use some improvement. The King of Wreckers chimed in with a boisterous laugh. Shenjan nodded thoughtfully. "I'll dispatch someone to investigate. Now, can you tell me what happened on Mingban Planet before this?" Hunter sighed. Mingban Planet sided with the Separatists, who then established outposts nearby and installed hyperspace blockers to sever the Keshal Channel. In response, the 44th Special Operations Force and the 224th Army of the Republic launched a joint offensive. But it was a trap. A trap. Shenjan's brow furrowed in concern. "Exactly. Upon arrival, we faced only 3 Generosity-class frigates in orbit, which quickly drove us off. So, we initiated a planetary landing." Hunter's voice trailed off. "And then we were ambushed by at least 400,000 droids," Crosshair interjected, shaking his head. "The Separatists must have been amassing their forces for some time, sending signals to lure us here. They emerged from the jungle, encircling us. General Grievous then led a fleet of 20 warships to finish us off. Our company was tasked with defending this hill. We set up over 10 E-Web blaster cannons and 2 AZ-7 self-propelled artillery units, but they were swiftly destroyed by droid fighter jets. It was a massacre," the technician added, pointing to a nearby hill. "Over there, we lost more than 70 brothers. I don't know about you, but I fought hard enough." The King of Wreckers laughed heartily. Hunter continued, "We attempted a retreat, deploying 2 Chaser-class battlecruisers for atmospheric cover, but to no avail. Both were shot down, and of the remaining 3 ships in orbit, 1 was destroyed, another was captured by the Separatists, and only 1 managed to escape." Shenjan nodded solemnly. "In that case, you're welcome to join our forces for the time being." Upon reaching the rendezvous point, The King of Wreckers noticed the worn armor of Shenjan's clone troopers compared to his own, which was reinforced with droid armor. He laughed. Seems like you've had your share of tough battles, almost as much as me. Keep your mouth shut, or I'll mistake you for a droid and shoot, the King of Wreckers retorted. If you dare to fire without thinking, you'll be the first to fall, Hunter warned coldly. Looking for a fight, boy? The clone trooper was instantly provoked, stepping forward and shoving Hunter in the chest. Enough, Shenjan shouted, his voice filled with anger. From now on, you're all on the same team. Any infighting will be met with severe punishment. The technician, remaining calm, asked Shenjan, General, what's our primary objective? We're after a secret weapon known as the Extractor and a separatist general named Severance Tan, Shenjan explained. Severance Tan? I remember her. She led the assault on Sarabin 3 months ago, right? I was still in training on Camino then, the clone soldier exclaimed, momentarily forgetting the earlier dispute. Correct, she breached the defenses of Sarabin, causing a blackout in the core worlds. It's a stain on our honor, one that can only be washed away with blood, the clone soldier declared resolutely. Had you mentioned that sooner, I would have been all in. That's the spirit I admire. The Wrecker King laughed, clapping the soldier on the shoulder. I'm CT-751, but you can call me Wrecker King. How about you? The soldier attempted to brush off the Wrecker King's hand, but ultimately nodded, introducing himself as I'm AE-1149, also known as Ironbox. Another clone trooper approached Shenjan and reported, General, we've conducted a search within a 100-kilometer radius and rescued over 200 survivors. There might be more out there, but time is against us. We've received intelligence that some scavengers have leaked news of our presence to the Separatists. Then we must depart immediately, Shenjan affirmed. The makeshift army quickly salvaged as much as they could from the wreckage of the crashed warship. They initiated the hyperspace engine just as 5 Separatist communication frigates emerged from hyperspace, narrowly escaping detection. A week later, Shenjan received crucial information from colossal fog. The Confederation of Independent Galaxies had covertly reactivated an abandoned base on the planet Aryan 2 months prior. Since then, the energy consumption at the Aryan base had been astronomical, far exceeding what would be expected for a typical colony or military outpost. Meanwhile, at the Aryan planet base, a situation was unfolding. General Cheng, you must understand that the base's capacity is at its limit. We can no longer support the large-scale experiments being conducted at the Krant Planetary Experimental Base. Moreover, our most pressing is the lack of funds, explained a female Neimoidian, perched atop a small quadruped robot, to a tall general as they toured the facility. Beside her stood Lieutenant General Cheng Shitao, Deputy Commander of the Fourth Civilization Army. His expression was stoic, though the emerging wrinkles on his face seemed to deepen with concern. Your trade union promised substantial support before, and Count Dooku has ordered full backing for the Extractor project. Now, with these delays, who will be accountable for the setback in research progress? He demanded. The responsibility certainly won't fall on Dawn Planet, the female Neimoidian replied, her hands outstretched in a gesture of resignation. Sector Director Plur Baron, I require a straightforward explanation. Cheng Shitao insisted sharply. We're channeling funds into a new initiative, Plur Baron began. The DS-1 project, she revealed, hinting at the scale and ambition behind their secretive endeavors. Volume 2, Chapter 712, Invasion of Planet Arran, Part 1, DS-1. Cheng Shitao's expression darkened. Although I'm not familiar with this project, I recall that Dawn Planet was strongly against this massive initiative, which would cost hundreds of billions of credits. Plur Baron offered a smile. However, the project received approval because members of the trade union, Interstellar Banking Industry Association, and Business Guild supported it. In the vote that took place a week ago, even the governor of Dawn Planet cast a favorable vote. Cheng Shitao's brow furrowed. As a senior figure within the Fourth Civilization, he was aware that Tang Xiao had been absent recently. Worse still, Tang Xiao had lost all contact. Although a T-850 robot, indistinguishable from Tang Xiao on the surface, was acting in his stead, crucial decisions were being made by the current Prime Minister, Francis Underwood. Therefore, If Underwood had endorsed the project, he must have had his reasons. Opposing it in Tang Xiao's absence would require presenting his case to the Confederate Parliament on Laysax, risking exposure. It seemed any opposition would have to wait until Tang Xiao's return. With a grim face, Cheng Shitao declared, "Regardless, the initiation of the DS-1 project doesn't mean our extractor project will halt. The next phase demands a significantly larger energy supply, necessitating the addition of at least 3 reactors on planet Aaron." "But we're out of funds," Puller Baron said, feigning helplessness. "That's not my concern. If we can't proceed to the next stage, the extractor's research will stall. You can explain that to Count Dooku yourself," Cheng Shitao countered, passing the responsibility back to Puller Baron. "This puts me in a difficult position, General Cheng," Puller Baron admitted, looking troubled. Their argument was abruptly interrupted by the urgent blaring of their communicators. Cheng Shitao and Puller Baron exchanged worried glances, sensing trouble. The message from the command center confirmed their fears. "General, Director, we're under attack." Cheng Shitao reacted swiftly. "Prepare for battle immediately. I'm on my way to the command center." Leaving a trembling Puller Baron behind, he hurried to the command center. Upon arrival, the combat alarm was blaring, and the base's defenders were mobilizing for battle. Soldiers rushed from their barracks to their combat stations. Cheng Shitao approached the holographic map in the command center and inquired, "How many invaders are we facing?" "A chaser class," replied a combat staff member. Cheng Shitao's frown deepened. "Why didn't hyperspace detection give us any warning?" "I'm not sure. The enemy might have used a hyperspace tributary or some other method," the staff member from Dawn Planet responded, shaking his head. "And how did they locate our top-secret base?" Cheng Shitao pondered aloud. "It's your fault. The energy demands were too high," Puller Baron accused, trying to shift the blame. Cheng Shitao's expression darkened further. "These were standard requirements for the test. Now, I want a thorough investigation into the last 10 energy transports. Did you use the designated fleet?" Puller Baron hesitated, his response faltering. "That doesn't necessarily indicate a problem. I was trying to cut costs. We're already running low on funds." "So, where is the designated fleet?" Cheng Shitao, sensing something amiss, raised his voice and advanced on Puller Baron. Fearing confrontation, Puller Baron retreated, his mobility robot shaking. I had it escorted by a group of smugglers who offered a low price. It is rumored that they are a group of prisoners who will work for money," Cheng Shitao said, his voice sharp with accusation. "If that's the case, where did the savings go? Why hasn't the energy supply at the Kront Planet experiment site increased, but instead decreased?" Puller Baron stammered in response, unable to form a coherent sentence. Observing her demeanor, Cheng Shitao immediately grasped the situation. He snorted disdainfully, turned to his combat staff, and commanded, "Activate the planetary defense system. Launch the fighter jets. We must prevent the enemy from landing. Send a distress signal to our allies." The hangars on planet Irene opened, releasing hundreds of Vulture robot fighters that surged towards the solitary Chaser-class battlecruiser. Cheng Shitao observed the battleship on the sensor, puzzled. "This battleship looks battered. Did it retreat from another battlefield and stumble upon us by mistake?" However, as the warship began launching a large number of V-19 Torrent fighter jets to engage, it became clear to Cheng Shitao that the enemy had come prepared. The orbital defense system on planet Irene sprang to life, targeting the Chaser-class cruiser with a massive cannon. The sound of the cannon firing was deafening, shaking the ground slightly. Yet, the Chaser-class cruiser adeptly maneuvered to avoid the blasts, with only 2 hits causing ripples on its shield. These brief attacks allowed the Chaser ample time to regenerate its shield, effectively rendering the damage negligible. Among the enemy fighter jets, 2 Delta-7 fighters stood out, moving with such speed that their flight paths were barely visible. Only the streaks of light from their tail flames marked their passage, as they swiftly destroyed the Vulture robot fighters. "Jedi Knight!" Cheng Shitao's expression darkened. "Have we received any response from our allies?" "The communication interference is severe. It's uncertain if our call for help was received," the communications officer reported, panic evident in his voice. Before Tang Xiao could inquire about their anti-jamming capabilities, Polar Baron's evasive behavior gave him his answer. Furious, he ordered, "Lock this traitor up." Two soldiers from the Fourth Civilization Army promptly seized Polar Baron and escorted her away. "General, the enemy warships are closing in. They might attempt a direct boarding," a combat staff member reported urgently. As the warning was issued, a turbo laser from the Chaser-class cruiser pierced the thin atmosphere of planet Irene and exploded on the surface. The blast sent shockwaves through the ground, and flames hundreds of meters high could be seen through the window. "Initiate the emergency evacuation protocol immediately. Move to the underground command center. All Marines, take your positions and prepare for a defensive battle," Tang Xiao ordered. "Secure the documents and destroy any sensitive material. Hurry." Volume 2, Chapter 713, Hunter Squad. The Chaser-class battlecruiser, under the command of Shen Zhan, unleashed its firepower upon planet Irene the moment it came within range. The planet, lacking the protection of expensive planetary shields, was subjected to a devastating orbital bombardment. Powerful turbo lasers from the Chaser-class cruiser ignited massive mushroom clouds across the planet's surface, the explosion's terrifying force wreaking havoc far and wide. Several mines and energy centers were obliterated in the onslaught. As the Vulture robot fighters scrambled to form a defense, they were quickly overwhelmed by the superior V-19 Riptide light fighters. The counterattack was completely stifled, resulting in the destruction of hundreds of Vulture fighters. The orbital cannon on planet Irene, after managing to fire continuously, was finally targeted and destroyed by the Chaser-class battlecruiser, reduced to nothing but rubble after several precise strikes. Penetrating the planet's atmosphere, the Chaser-class battlecruiser pressed on. Covered by fighter jets, LAI assault transport boats launched a fierce bombardment on ground targets before landing, each one filled with clone troopers ready for battle. As they entered the atmosphere, planet Irene's ground defenses unleashed a barrage of firepower. Every available weapon was fired into the sky, and every capable spaceship and fighter jet was launched in a desperate counteroffensive against the invading warship, putting significant pressure on the Chaser-class battlecruiser. After deploying a 4,000-strong Marine Corps, the battlecruiser ascended to provide fire support from 50,000 meters above the ground. Planet Irene, a harsh world inhabited mostly by slaves and robotic laborers, was defended by approximately 20,000 B-1 battle droids and 1,500 soldiers from the Fourth Civilization Army. Jedi Master Shen Zhan disembarked from his fighter, leading the charge towards the planet's administrative control center. The clone troopers, supported by 10 ATE walkers, advanced methodically. Meanwhile, Shen Zhan's apprentice, Jedi Apprentice Nat Rice, continued to pilot a Delta-7 fighter jet, providing aerial cover. The Republic Air Force, with its overwhelming advantage, first eliminated a significant number of Confederate fighter jets and spaceships. Then, the LA-8 assault gunboats unleashed their formidable firepower, conducting intense airstrikes on ground targets and decimating the B-1 battle droids that attempted to resist. Throughout the conflict, the clone troopers demonstrated calm efficiency and flawless teamwork. In contrast, the Fourth Civilization Army, despite the support of the Robot Army, steadily lost ground. The Hunter Squad, consisting of the Hunter, the Front Sight, the Clearing King, and the Technician, moved swiftly through the battlefield. The Front Sight provided excellent visibility, with the Hunter and the Clearing King leading the assault and the Technician covering the rear. After spending over 2 months surrounded and hunted on planet Mingban, a world overrun with robots and scarce hiding places, this battlefield felt almost trivial to them. M247, 11 o'clock, 3, the Front Sight called out. He raised his blaster rifle and fired several shots in the indicated direction, but the soldiers of the Fourth Civilization were well concealed, and his shots missed their mark. As the battle raged on, both sides had become intimately familiar with the equipment used by their adversaries. The Fourth Civilization Army's preference for Gaussian weapons, with their distinctive sound, made them easily distinguishable from the weapons used by the Confederation of Independent Systems. This was particularly true for the M247 heavy machine gun, a staple in the arsenal of the Fourth Civilization Army. After being converted into an electromagnetic excitation mechanism, the M247 heavy machine gun became significantly more powerful, demonstrating a pronounced effectiveness against the aggregated alloy armor of clone troopers. This type of armor was designed to disperse kinetic energy shocks across the body, thereby reducing the impact on any single point. However, the electromagnetic weapons developed by the Fourth Civilization utilized supermatter acceleration, which, despite being more costly than traditional explosive gases, offered superior penetration capabilities against the clone troopers' combat armor. As a result, the M247 heavy machine gun earned a notorious reputation among the clone soldiers. "Is there fire support?" the hunter called out loudly. "This is the Hunter Tactical Squad. Coordinates H373, requesting artillery support." The technician promptly communicated through the communicator. The Hunter Squad was the designation of their newly formed unit within Shenzhan's forces. "No extra artillery support available. Repeat, no extra artillery support," came the disheartening reply from the rear. The technician surveyed the battlefield behind them. A few hundred meters away, the nearest ATE walker, measuring 13 meters in length and 5 meters in height, was advancing while firing. Despite the distance, its massive frame was unmistakably visible. The ATTE's 4 front-mounted blaster cannons unleashed a barrage of fire, slicing the blaster beams into dozens of segments that exploded upon impact, decimating the B-1 combat droids. Meanwhile, its heavy artillery continued to lay down suppressive fire from afar, even as it became a prime target for the defenders' rockets and anti-tank missiles, which streaked across the sky with long tails of flame before exploding against the walker's hull. "We're on our own," the technician exclaimed. "Warrior King! Grenade!" the hunter shouted. "Coming right up!" Wrecker Wang, known for his exceptional strength, which surpassed that of his fellow clone soldiers due to his rigorous exercise regimen, responded eagerly. He grabbed several C-22 fragmentation grenades and hurled them with all his might, sending them soaring over 100 meters to explode simultaneously near the hillside. The C-22 grenades were highly advanced, featuring a delayed explosion timer that could be set up to 2 minutes. Wrecker Wang had meticulously adjusted the timers to ensure a synchronized detonation. With the grenades detonating, the hunter sprang into action. Darting forward with the agility of a leopard, he zigzagged to evade incoming fire, rendering the bullets aimed at him ineffective. A few soldiers from the Fourth Civilization, clad in Liberator uniforms, emerged from behind a bunker to open fire. However, the hunter, armed with a DC-15S blaster rifle, utilized its scope to accurately eliminate 2 adversaries despite its lower power. Upon reaching the base of the hillside, the hunter lobbed 2 grenades towards the enemy position before swiftly advancing to the side of the emplacement. Confronted with the terrified gazes of the soldiers, he unleashed a burst of gunfire, effectively neutralizing the threat. Following this successful engagement, more clone soldiers initiated an assault, overcoming several groups of the Fourth Civilization's soldiers and droids, and progressively advancing the front line. Crosshair, having reached the side of the hill, peered through his binoculars and observed something peculiar. "Hunter, I've spotted something unusual ahead. Several separatist armored vehicles are retreating from that location after sustaining damage. It could be a repair station or a temporary base," the technician speculated. "In that case, let's move," the hunter decided, signaling the beginning of their next strategic maneuver. The decision was made swiftly. "Hunter Team, your mission is to advance and secure the position at coordinates H219. The directive echoed from the Tactical Command Center, situated at the rear. Without hesitation, the hunter promptly turned off the communicator. Note 1. It's important to highlight that this story unfolds 3 years prior to the events described in the Defective Products episode. Therefore, it's crucial not to draw direct comparisons with the situation 3 years later, as numerous significant events have transpired in the interim. Vol 2, Chapter 714, Invasion of Aran Planet, Part 2. In the underground command center of Planet Irene, General Cheng Shitao stood before a holographic map, directing operations. His gaze was fixed on the hundreds of triangles on the map, each representing a clone battle team. Despite the chaos of battle, These units moved with precision, their advances and retreats carving deep into enemy lines like relentless nails. Suddenly, Tang Xiao noticed a significant breach. One of the triangles had surged forward by at least 2 kilometers, penetrating deep into the territory of a frontline maintenance station known as Thorn Station. Concerned, he immediately opened a communication channel. "What's happening at Thorn Station?" he demanded. The response was frantic, barely audible over the cacophony of gunshots and explosions. "General, a group of clone troopers has broken through. They're causing havoc, killing many." The situation was dire, and Tang Xiao's expression darkened. Without hesitation, he ordered, "Destroy the equipment and retreat." As the retreat order was issued, the robots at the headquarters on planet Irene launched a final, desperate charge. Military and civilian personnel from the Fourth Civilization swiftly planted explosives in a coordinated effort before making their way to the transport ships. Meanwhile, on the front lines, Jedi Master Shen Zhan, who was overseeing the battle, sensed the enemy's intention to flee. "They want to run," he declared with a grave tone. "General, should we pursue?" asked a clone commander. "No, we can't catch up. Continue the attack as planned and focus on capturing the command center. It's crucial we locate the energy supply center," Shen Zhan instructed. A hoverbike nearby revved its engine to the maximum, kicking up a cloud of dust as it sped away. Back at the headquarters of the Fourth Civilization, Helmut Zimohui delivered grim news to Francis Underwood. "Your Excellency, planet Irene has been overrun by the Republic. Lieutenant General Tang Xiao, who was overseeing the extractor project, was on planet Irene and is now unreachable." Francis Underwood massaged his temples, feeling the weight of military strategy pressing down on him. Tang Xiao's absence left a void, making every decision seem fraught with peril. Tang Xiao's choices had always been marked by decisiveness and foresight, guiding the Fourth Civilization through countless challenges with minimal errors. His role as the Lord of the Sith only added to his mystique, making his sudden disappearance all the more unsettling. "The sudden attack on planet Aryn raises many questions," Underwood mused. "How was our information compromised? How did the Republic's forces penetrate Hutt space? And does this incursion signal a shift in the Hutt's stance?" After a moment of contemplation, Underwood made his decision. "Arrange a meeting with Hutt Alak Basadi. I need to gauge the Hutt's current position on this matter. Also, inform Count Dooku about the attack on planet Aryn. Instruct the Confederation of Independent Systems to fortify planet Kront and protect the extractor's experimental facility at all costs. Lastly, conduct a thorough investigation into all personnel and material movements on planet Aryn to uncover how our security was breached." "The leak," Chief of Staff Chijian declared with a grave tone. "I believe we need to secure some data from planet Kronte to prevent our valuable experimental findings from being seized by the Republic." Tang Xiao's expression darkened considerably as he set the communicator aside and commanded, "Destroy the equipment and retreat." "Understood." Following the retreat order, all robots stationed at the Irene planet's headquarters initiated a decisive onslaught. Meanwhile, the Fourth Civilization's military and civilian personnel methodically planted explosives, adhering to the evacuation plan, and then made their way towards the transport ships. In the midst of this chaos, Jedi Master Shen Zhan, who was leading the front-line battle, suddenly focused his gas in a specific direction and announced with a stern voice, "They're attempting to flee." "General, shall we pursue?" inquired the clone commander. "No, pursuit is futile. Continue with the planned assault to seize the enemy's command center. It's clear this is an energy supply hub. We must uncover its energy source." A hoverbike's engine roared to life, leaving behind a trail of smoke and dust as it sped away into the distance. "Your Excellency, planet Irene was overrun by the Republic forces an hour ago. Lieutenant General Tang Xiao, who was overseeing the extractor project there, has since been unreachable," reported Helmut Zimohui. Francis Underwood massaged his temples. Military strategy was not his forte, and Tang Xiao's abrupt departure, leaving behind a cryptic message, only heightened his anxiety. Tang Xiao's decisions, always marked by their decisiveness and foresight, had seldom led them astray, guiding the Fourth Civilization to its current stature. Tang Xiao's reputation, further mystified by his identity as a Sith Lord, had instilled a sense of infallibility among the leadership. And now, with the sudden attack on planet Erin, several questions loomed large. How was the information leaked? How did the Republic's forces breach Hutt space? Does this incursion indicate a shift in the Hutt's stance? Pondered Francis, reclining thoughtfully on his sofa. After a moment of contemplation, he resolved, arrange a meeting with Hutt Alak Besadi for me. I need to gauge the Hutt's current position on this matter. Additionally, inform Count Dooku about the attack on planet Erin. Instruct the Confederation of Independent Systems to fortify planet Kronti immediately. The extractor's research facility must remain intact. Lastly, conduct a thorough investigation into all personnel and material movements on planet Erin to ascertain the cause of the leak. Chief of Staff Chi Jian reiterated his earlier point with urgency. We should consider extracting some data from planet Kronte to safeguard our experimental data from falling into Republic hands. Vol 2, Chapter 715, The Harlankar Civil War. The planet Harlankar has never known peace. Its extreme environment has birthed several unique species, among which the thistle tree stands out. This tree, with its extensive root system, absorbs the toxic substances deep within Harlankar's crust, exhibiting remarkable properties. Consuming its bark raw induces strong hallucinogenic and stimulating effects in intelligent beings, far surpassing ordinary spices. However, excessive consumption can lead to irreversible brain damage, trapping the individual in a perpetual state of fantasy. Yet, when roasted and processed correctly, the harmful effects of the thistle bark are neutralized, retaining its potent hallucinogenic properties without the negative side effects, making it a delicacy even finer than the finest wines. Due to its unique growth conditions, artificial cultivation of the thistle tree is nearly impossible, making its bark exceedingly valuable. It has become a sought-after commodity among the affluent of the inner circles, recognizable by the red-stained teeth of its consumers, a mark worn with a knowing smile. Naturally, such a prized resource attracted the attention of bounty hunters and smugglers who ventured to Harlankar to harvest thistle bark. These groups clashed violently with the indigenous Koronai people, who lead a simple nomadic life and occasionally trade with other planets for necessities and small spacecraft. The Koronai's primary livestock, the grasser, is a gentle giant with 6 hooves and 3 eyes, valued for its delicious meat and nutritious milk. However, grassers feed on thistle bark, which, due to their saliva, diminishes the bark's hallucinogenic effects over time. This reduction in purity and the widespread consumption by grassers, who nibble on the bark of multiple trees before moving on, significantly impacted the yield and quality of the spice. In their quest for higher quality thistle bark, smugglers began hunting grassers, igniting a fierce conflict with the Koronai. These smugglers, having lived on Harlankar for generations and considering themselves as much indigenous as the Koronai, refused to back down, leading to an escalating confrontation. The Koronai dubbed these smugglers Balawai, a term from their dialect that, while incomprehensible to outsiders, was understood by the smugglers as a grave insult, equivalent to a direct affront to their honor. The conflict erupted 30 years ago in 52 BBY. The exact cause or the individual who fired the first shot remains unknown, but it marked the beginning of a brutal and relentless war between the Koronai and the smugglers. To prevent the Galactic Republic from intervening, the smugglers allied with the Pikes, a group long engaged in shadowy activities, further complicating the situation on Harlankar. The civil war that ensued not only devastated the planet, but also drew in various factions, each with their own vested interests, into a conflict that would leave deep scars on Harlankar's history. The conflict on the planet Harlankar had escalated to a full-blown civil war, fueled by spice smuggling and the corruption of numerous Republic officials. Ultimately, the Republic Congress declared it a civil war, stating that since neither faction was indigenous and both had settled on the planet, the Galactic Republic would not intervene. Mace Windu, newly inducted into the Jedi Order and undergoing his apprentice graduation trial, found himself powerless to act. Taken by the Jedi Order at the tender age of 6 months following his parents' demise, he lacked any connection to the Koronai's language or culture. Despite this, Windu took a keen interest in Harlankar's plight, even visiting the planet, learning the Krunai language and attempting to mediate between the factions, albeit with minimal success. His efforts were largely ignored, even by his own ancestral tribe, the Windu, who were determined to seek vengeance. The smugglers, leveraging their external connections and wealth amassed from diesel bark smuggling, launched another devastating attack, resulting in significant civilian casualties. However, the Karunai, descendants of Jedi Knights stranded on Harankar millennia ago, were not easily subdued. Their force sensitivity, though not on par with Jedi Knights, endowed them with heightened senses and a keen sense of impending danger. They retreated into the jungle, engaging in guerrilla warfare. The jungle's unique metal-devouring fungus severely hampered the Balawai's advanced weaponry, rendering it nearly useless. As the conflict intensified, both sides resorted to indiscriminate violence, attacking civilian settlements and drastically reducing Harankar's population. Latest estimates put the population at around 750,000, with no end to the violence in sight. The outbreak of the Galactic Civil War and the formation of the Confederation of Independent Galaxies drew Count Dooku's attention to Harankar. The Balawai secretly aligned with the Confederacy, receiving substantial aid, while the Karunai, harboring resentment towards the Republic, refrained from seeking assistance until their situation became dire. Amidst this chaos, an unarmed console-class cruiser emerged from hyperspace and descended into Harankar's atmosphere, landing at a Karunai spaceport. The hatch opened, revealing Jedi Master Depa Billaba and her two companions, Luna Meng and Luna Fantasy, accompanied by a contingent of clone soldiers. They had arrived, perhaps as a beacon of hope in the planet's darkest hour. For those captivated by the unfolding saga of Star Wars: The Fourth Calamity, further chapters and resources are available for exploration and enjoyment. Readers are encouraged to bookmark their progress for easy continuation and share this gripping tale with fellow enthusiasts across various platforms. Vol 2, Chapter 7, 6th Support. After Depa Billaba and her party disembarked from the spaceship, the crew quickly unloaded the supplies and departed without delay. The planet Harankar's unique environment meant the spacecraft couldn't linger, as the air's fungal spores could cause corrosion. No sooner had the spaceship left than the jungle nearby rustled ominously, and a group of more than a dozen Karunai warriors emerged. Both men and women among them boasted robust physiques and dark skin, their rifles concealed with leaves and cloth. Leading the group were two particularly formidable figures. The shorter of the two urgently addressed Depa Billaba. "Are you the envoy from the Republic? Hurry! The Balawai fighters are on their way. They must have spotted the ship." Depa Billaba's brow furrowed in concern. "We've brought a significant amount of supplies, including food and medicine, which you desperately need. Let's secure these first." "What use are supplies if you're dead? We need to move now," one of the Karunai insisted. Just then, the sound of engines screamed from the horizon, and 3 vulture droid fighters appeared, speeding towards them. Without hesitation, they launched rockets at the group. Boom, boom, explosions tore through the jungle ahead, sending flames and debris into the air. Despite the danger, Depa Billaba remained calm, even as the Karunai warriors sought cover in the jungle. "We won't be defeated so easily," she stated with quiet confidence. As the droid fighters made another pass, launching 6 rockets directly at them, Luna Meng and Luna Han stood together, their hands raised. A formidable force surged from them, halting the rockets mid-air as if caught in an invisible net. With a mere gesture from Luna Meng, the rockets reversed course, striking one of the attackers and engulfing it in flames. The 100 clone soldiers accompanying Depa Billaba sprang into action, firing at the remaining droid fighters. As one dived towards them, Depa Billaba drew her lightsaber, her movements lightning fast as she deflected the barrage of blaster fire. None of the shots reached the ground. With precise, calculated strikes, she caused the remaining droid fighters to explode and crash. Sheathing her lightsaber, Depa Billaba turned to the jungle and called out, "We don't have much time before the next attack. Move quickly and secure the supplies." Stirred from their shock, the Karunai warriors emerged from their hiding spots and began transporting the supplies with impressive efficiency, their strength surpassing even that of the clone soldiers. Approaching Depa Billaba, the leader of the Karunai introduced himself in fluent Galactic Basic. Honored warrior, my name is Lesh, captain of the Akguard. This is my brother, Besh. We are grateful for your assistance. Despite the Republic's indifference to our plight, your arrival brings hope. Besh, a silent, burly figure, nodded in agreement. Depa Balaba noticed his tongue was missing, a detail Lesh soon explained. The Balawai captured my brother years ago and mutilated him. Please, don't be alarmed. We'll handle the supplies. Your help could save hundreds. Lesh then invited them to follow, mentioning a meeting with the great Lorpelek. Depa Balaba, intrigued, inquired, Royal Pelek, doesn't he? Her question trailed off as they moved, signaling the beginning of a crucial alliance and a glimmer of hope for the Karunai people. Does it sound like a person's name? In the language of our Karunai, Roar Pelek signifies beings of great power such as wizards, shamans, and demons, and the esteemed leader of our Artguard is a very powerful Roar Pelek. As for his real name, we are not privileged to speak it, Lesh explained. Depa Balaba nodded thoughtfully and continued to advance with Lesh. Trailing behind her, the Dream Sisters, adorned in red and blue cloaks with their faces concealed by hoods, surveyed their surroundings with curiosity. The jungles of planet Harankar were a spectacle of colors. The diesel trees bore dark purple trunks with leaves transitioning from red to blue. The landscape was further enriched by red grass, brown shrubs, yellow potok needles, and countless fungal clusters capable of corroding metal, all glowing with a green luminescence. In such an environment, the Dream Sisters were in high spirits, their laughter occasionally piercing the eerie calm of the group. The team ventured deeper into the jungle, where the faint rustling of the surroundings hinted at the presence of hidden dangers, with countless weapons trained on them from the shadows. They eventually arrived at a relatively open area dotted with hundreds of tree houses, bustling with the activities of the Karunais. Women were seen cooking and cleaning weapons with a translucent orange-brown amber, while men engaged in training or repairing the tree houses. The approach of the fully armed clone troopers put everyone on high alert. They ceased their activities and grabbed weapons within arm's reach, ready to stand their ground. Lesh spoke up in the Karunai language, calming the villagers who then resumed their tasks, though they occasionally cast wary glances at the clone troopers. The white armor of the troopers made them stand out conspicuously. Lesh then suggested, I recommend you hand over your weapons so we can treat them with Poketa tree amber. This amber can neutralize and isolate the fungi, preventing your weapons from turning into scrap metal within 3 days. Once you're settled, we'll teach you how to harvest Poketa amber and use it to maintain your weapons and electronic devices. Depa Balaba agreed and instructed the clone commander. Okay, hand over the weapons. But, General, wouldn't this disarm us? The clone commander questioned. We're here to assist them. Unless they believe they can win the war by killing us and seizing 100 more guns, they won't harbor any ill will, Depa Balaba reassured him. The clone commander acquiesced, ordering his soldiers to surrender their weapons to the Karunai women. Subsequently, Depa Balaba, accompanied by the Dream Sisters, followed Lesh to the largest treehouse at the center. Upon entering, they were greeted by a burly man seated on a throne crafted from numerous animal bones, his gaze fixed on them with arrogance. Depa Balaba greeted him respectfully. I am a member of the Jedi Order, Master Depa Balaba, and these are my apprentices, Luna Meng and Luna Fantasy. We have come to offer our assistance. The man scrutinized them, his interest piqued upon noticing the Dream Sisters. They are beautiful. I like them, he exclaimed, rising from his seat and approaching with an imposing presence, his towering stature and muscular build exuding an overwhelming aura. Depa Balaba instinctively sensed not just physical strength, but also a potent force sensitivity in the man. She positioned herself protectively in front of the Dream Sisters, her hands charged with the force, ready to act. However, the man's demeanor abruptly changed after a closer look at the Dream Sisters. Fear replaced his initial interest. Retreating, he waved his hands dismissively and stammered, I don't like them. Go. This unexpected reaction left the group in a moment of stunned silence, pondering the sudden shift in the man's attitude. This episode diverges from the main storyline concerning the Fourth Civilization. Instead, it focuses on the Dream Sisters, two pivotal characters whose roles will become significant in the future narrative. Although this might seem like a detour, it's worth noting that the Dream Sisters are, in fact, affiliated with the Fourth Civilization, adding depth to their involvement in the overarching plot. For those eagerly following Star Wars: The Fourth Calamity, this chapter offers a unique perspective by delving into the backgrounds and motivations of these intriguing characters. Their story is not just a side note, it's an integral piece of the puzzle that will enrich the tapestry of the main narrative. To ensure you don't miss out on any part of this expansive saga, consider bookmarking the latest chapter of Star Wars: The Fourth Calamity. This way, you can easily return to where you left off and continue your journey through this captivating universe. The novel is available for reading online, and for those who prefer offline reading, a downloadable TXT version is also provided. Mobile users can enjoy a seamless reading experience through the dedicated mobile reading link. Your engagement and support are greatly appreciated. If you find yourself captivated by the unfolding story of Star Wars: The Fourth Calamity, please consider sharing it with your friends through various social platforms such as QQ, blogs, and WeChat. Your recommendations help in spreading the word about this thrilling adventure and are immensely valued. Remember, every chapter, including this detour into the lives of the Dream Sisters, is a step further into the vast, intricate world of the Fourth Civilization. Your patience and attention to these seemingly peripheral stories will be rewarded as they converge with the main storyline, revealing the full scope of this epic tale. Vol 2, Chapter 717, Inhuman War, Part 1. The towering figure took a few steps back, regaining his composure. He pointed at Sister Dream and commanded, "You two, leave now." Luna Han pouted, looking up at the man. "Ah, elder sister, this uncle is so dull." Luna Meng gazed at him with her large, expressive eyes, a hint of curiosity in her voice. "Are you scared of dreams?" The man's expression darkened. "If you assist me, I'll spare your lives. Otherwise, stay out." Depa Balaba exchanged glances with Sister Dream, then turned to the man. It was clear to him that the man's beast-like instincts, combined with his sensitivity to the Force, allowed him to perceive something unique about the sisters. This realization filled Depa Balaba with a sense of pride and affection for Sister Dream, but he maintained a professional demeanor. "In that case, we'll step outside. I believe it's time for a discussion with this formidable warrior." "Let's go, sister," Luna Wan said, leading the way out with a carefree stride. A female Karunai was waiting outside. She greeted them with a nod and escorted the sisters to their designated camp. Once alone, Depa Balaba smiled. "Now we can talk." The man introduced himself. "Karl Vastor, where is the fleet? The Republic's fleet can't reach us here. We're deep in separatist territory," Depa Balaba explained. Karl Vastor moved to the window, his gaze fixed on the horizon. "Without the fleet, victory is impossible." Depa Balaba joined him at the window, looking in the direction they had come from. Suddenly, a bright light flashed in the sky, followed by a beam that crashed to the ground with a thunderous boom. A shockwave swept through the jungle, shaking the trees violently. "Space-based weapons. Without the fleet, victory is unattainable," Karl Vastor observed. Depa Balaba frowned. "The lack of explosions suggests it was a solid projectile. Its destructive power is limited, and it requires time to reload. We must target their ground control center swiftly." "You don't grasp the nature of our war," Karl Vastor replied. "Tomorrow we attack their camp. You will join us." "Sister, did you hear that? The sounds from the forest," Luna Phantom whispered, peering out the window of their treehouse. "Yes, the forest is alive with dreams," Luna Meng responded softly. "Let's explore," Luna Huan suggested, grabbing her sister's hand. They leaped from the treehouse, running deep into the jungle. The Koronai sentries seemed not to notice them, remaining vigilant. Bathed in moonlight and surrounded by glowing flora, the sisters ventured further. The jungle transformed into a realm of fantasy under their influence. Illusions of creatures like Sika deer, giant dragons, and white wolves appeared, frolicking around them. In this moment, the jungle belonged to them, a world of their own creation. The next day, Karl Vastor, Depa Baraba, the Dream Sisters, a contingent of Ark Guards, and 10 clone troopers ventured through the jungle towards a Balawai camp. The clone troopers had removed their conspicuous white armor to blend into the environment better, aware of the wear and tear the jungle could inflict. Karl Vasto, the founder of the tribe known as the Karunai, recognized the unique force sensitivity within every member of his tribe. He tailored his training to harness this potential, equipping each of his Achaguards with a shield that was not only thick but also integrated with advanced technology. The edges of these shields were honed to deadly sharpness. Karl himself wielded 2 shields, each larger and thicker than those of his followers. Deepa Balaba surveyed the camp before her, which more closely resembled a fortress. It boasted several towering structures, each mounted with powerful rapid-fire blaster cannons. The surrounding trees had been cleared, leaving approximately 100 meters of open ground that offered no cover from any direction. Through her force perception, Depa Balaba could sense that the camp was heavily fortified, its inhabitants ready for battle at a moment's notice. The guards of this camp are exceedingly vigilant. A direct assault would likely result in significant casualties, Depa Balaba observed, her brow furrowed in concern. "Coward! Go back!" Karl Vasto retorted dismissively. With a cold snort, he activated his shields and charged forward with a roar. His movements were a blur of speed, his body hunched low like a sprinting cat, the 2 shields enveloping him completely. The other Achaguards followed suit, brandishing their shields in one hand and rifles in the other. The camp's defenders, comprised of robots and Balavais, quickly responded to the threat, unleashing a barrage of laser and energy blasts. Remarkably, these attacks were repelled by an energy layer that shimmered into existence on the surface of the Achaguards' shields, even reflecting the attacks back at their assailants. The Achaguards' rifles, though seemingly outdated with their live ammunition, roared to life. Their marksmanship was impeccable, and they managed to suppress the defenders with a relentless volley of bullets. The B-1 robots and several Balavas were quickly neutralized, forced to seek cover and unable to retaliate effectively. However, the shield's protection was not absolute. Soon, 2 Achaguards were struck down. As more robots converged on their location, the situation grew increasingly dire. Observing the unfolding battle, Depa Balaba knew she could not stand idly by. Drawing her lightsaber, she turned to the dreamy sisters accompanying her. "Let's engage. Our targets are those robots," she instructed. With a determined nod, she leaped into action, covering a distance of over 10 meters in a single bound. She twisted and turned in midair, her green lightsaber a blur as it deflected every incoming blast back at the B-1 combat robots. Upon landing, Depa Balaba unleashed her full mastery of swordsmanship. The surrounding robots, despite their continuous fire, could not breach her defenses. Even rockets launched in her direction were effortlessly redirected, exploding amidst the robotic ranks. Depa Balaba's intervention turned the tide, decimating more than half of the robots single-handedly. For those captivated by this tale of bravery and battle, Star Wars: The Fourth Calamity offers a rich narrative that expands upon the lore of the Star Wars universe. Readers can explore further chapters and download the text for convenient reading through the provided links. To ensure you never miss a moment of this epic saga, consider adding it to your favorites for easy access in your next reading session. If you've enjoyed your journey into Star Wars: The Fourth Calamity, consider sharing it with friends through social media or other platforms. Your support is greatly appreciated. Vol 2, Chapter 718, Inhuman War, Part 2. After Depa Balaba joined the fray, she swiftly eliminated numerous robots, showcasing her prowess on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Luna Meng and Luna Huan, finding the level of combat beneath their full capabilities, opted for a more strategic approach. They wielded specially crafted miniature lightsabers, manipulating them with the Force to act as lethal projectiles. These lightsabers darted through the air with precision, piercing through the defenses of robots and Balawai alike, leaving no place to hide, not even within the safety of a sentry tower or a home. On another front, Karl Vasto was a force to be reckoned with, embodying the ferocity of a wild beast. Armed with 2 shields, he was an unstoppable force. Laser and blaster beams that struck his shields were not only blocked, but also reflected back at their sources. With a powerful charge, he would then bring down his shield with devastating force, leaving nothing but destruction in his wake. The Balavai, overwhelmed by the intensity of the assault, were forced into retreat. Once the robots were neutralized, the battle concluded with the camp thoroughly overrun. Karl Vasto instructed his subordinates to commence looting, loading all valuables from the camp onto a commandeered hovercar. Captured prisoners were also forced into the vehicle as the battlefield was cleared. Any uninjured Balavis encountered were executed on the spot without mercy. A moment of tension arose when Depa Balaba witnessed Karl Vasto approaching an unarmed elderly man with a grim determination. She intervened. "Enough, Karl. This man poses no threat anymore." Karl, however, was unyielding, his voice cold. "Every Balawai must die." Before he could finish, an Ache guard beside him acted, fatally shooting the old man. The scene was gruesome, with blood splattering across the wall behind the victim, leaving Depa Balaba speechless at the brutality. After looting, the group did not head straight back to their tribe. Instead, they ventured deeper into the jungle, evading potential pursuers. As they moved, Depa Balaba noticed vulture robot fighters and spaceships scouting the area they had attacked, but Karl Vasto and the Ark Guards, blending seamlessly with the jungle terrain and exploiting the electronic interference of the environment, remained undetected. Deep within the jungle, they finally halted. The Ark Guards began chanting in Karunai, "Tampel Trokal, Tampel Trokal." Leish explained to Depa Balaba that Tampel Trokal meant justice in the jungle, a concept where captives were given a chance to survive. Karl Vasto addressed the trembling Balavai captives, offering them a grim choice. "Tampel Trokal, venture out and live, or stay and die." The captives were then released, stripped of their belongings, except for a single coat, and forcefully expelled from the vehicle. As the hovercar drove away, leaving the captives to their fate amidst their pleas for mercy, the Ark Guards continued to shout their jungle justice slogan. Curious, Depa Balaba inquired if anyone had ever survived this so-called jungle justice. Leish shared a tale of survival and transformation. Only one person. He spoke of Raoul Pelek, a child from the Windu clan, which had been massacred by the Balavai. Left for dead in the jungle by the Balavai, Raoul miraculously survived and returned, albeit nearly losing his ability to speak. However, he emerged from the ordeal with formidable strength, a testament to the harsh justice of the jungle. Leish's recounting was filled with admiration, highlighting the resilience and power that could emerge from such trials. The concept of jungle justice, while harsh, was not something the Balavai could have anticipated, marking a stark contrast in the methods of warfare and survival. Lunahuan spoke with a hint of curiosity. "Would do." Lesh, however, seemed slightly displeased. "Could it be someone else? People in your republic are oblivious to the atrocities the Balavai have inflicted upon us." Lunahuan then turned her gaze towards Kar El Vasto, her smile enigmatic. "Actually, if you dream, you might be able to recall it." Feeling her intense stare, Karl Vasto stepped back and turned away. Upon returning to the settlement, the sight of the fully loaded convoy was met with loud cheers from the women and children who had stayed behind. They approached with beaming smiles, eager to help unload the goods, and inquired about the number of Balavai taken down by the Ake guards. Meanwhile, vulture robot fighter planes continued their relentless patrol in the sky. Clearly, the raid had infuriated the Balawai, prompting them to dispatch fighter jets to broaden their patrol area and commence random bombardments into the jungle. Despite their efforts, they were unable to locate the hidden settlements nestled deep within the jungle. However, the following morning, Depa Balaba noticed a sudden change. The vulture robot fighters converged and flew in a specific direction within the jungle, accompanied by the distant sound of explosions. Her expression darkened as she rushed to Karl Vasto's treehouse, urgently informing him, "Other settlements may be under attack. We need to go and help them." Without a word, Karl Vasto stood, grabbed his shield, and together with Depa Balaba and their group, they quickly set off in the direction of the disturbance. Although the vulture fighters had not been in flight for long, with the aid of a hovercar, the group managed to cover the distance swiftly. As they neared their destination, the sight of burning flames and thick smoke rising in the distance became visible. The settlement they arrived at was slightly smaller than Karl's, but at that moment, all the tree houses were ablaze. In the center of the settlement, a massive fire raged, within which hundreds of twisted corpses burned, releasing a pungent smell of charred flesh. The sight of this inferno rendered both the clone trooper and Depa Bilaba momentarily speechless. However, the Ark guards, long accustomed to such horrors, extinguished the flames and respectfully buried the corpses, allowing them to return to nature and nourish the jungle. Luna Meng and Luna Han's reactions were notably different. They observed the scene with a detached indifference. That night, Depa Bilaba experienced a vivid dream filled with conflict and emotion. She fought, she feared, she raged. For those interested in continuing this harrowing journey, Star Wars: The Fourth Calamity offers a deep dive into the complexities of war and survival. Your support and recommendations to friends are greatly appreciated as we explore this saga together. Vol 2 Chapter 719 Dream. Master, you're dreaming, Luna Meng stated earnestly the next day after observing Depa Bilaba. It's all right. I'll handle it, Depa Bilaba responded with a smile, gently patting Luna Meng's head as if to reassure her. Once she had walked away, Luna Huan approached, slinging an arm casually over Luna Meng's shoulder. Jedi Knights shouldn't dream. If they do, it's believed to be a vision from the Force, and it's seldom a good omen. Well, except for us, of course. Maybe what we've been experiencing isn't really a dream, right? Luna Meng pondered, tilting her head in thought. Ha! How would I know? Luna Huan laughed, not taking the matter too seriously. But the Master has advised us not to delve too deeply into these dreams. Perhaps there's a reason for that. Depa Bilaba made her way directly to Carl Vasto's treehouse and stated her mission plainly. We need to address the threat of the Separatists' air and space weapons. Without warships at our disposal, our best strategy is to destroy their ground control center. She carefully avoided mentioning the Balavies directly, as she was still hesitant to resort to excessive violence. Pelek, bow, Carl Vasto responded succinctly, referring to the Balavies' capital. After grabbing 2 large shields, he slung them over his back and headed out, signaling a group of about a dozen people to follow him on hoverbikes, their destination clear: hunting, eating. Depa Bilaba, left behind, noticed that the Karunai woman who had arranged accommodations for the Dream Sisters hadn't joined the departure. Approaching her, Depa Bilaba inquired, Lian, do you know where Pelek Bao is? The woman, Lian Traval, was known for her reserved nature. She replied softly, Pelek Bao is the capital of the Balavies, situated on the planet's only plateau. It has a population of around 400,000. After imparting this information, she gave Depa Bilaba a respectful nod and went about her duties. Meanwhile, the clone troopers had integrated well with the local populace, having removed their combat armor to blend in better. They were busy applying Pagoda Amber to their blaster rifles and the newly delivered supplies, including additional rifles and gas tanks, to protect them from fungal corrosion. Once prepared, they distributed these weapons among the residents, teaching them how to use them effectively. Depa Bilaba sought out the Dream Sisters and the Clone Troopers' commander to discuss the situation in Pelek Bao. A city with 400,000 inhabitants is beyond the Korunai's capability to capture. The Separatists can safeguard the women, children, civilians, and technicians within the city, deploying droids and soldiers to the outskirts to besiege the Korunai settlements, she explained. The Korunai stand no chance in this conflict, Sergeant CB 1199, nicknamed Rainbow, commented with a frown. Each Balavai attack could decimate a Korunai settlement, killing women and children alike. This will only diminish the Korunai population. Depa Bilaba added, Autumn arrives in mid-October on Harinkar, bringing severe cold to all habitable regions until the following May. The Korunai use this time to reproduce, but it's insufficient. We must find a way to overcome the Separatists in this war of survival. Then we'll take down the Separatists' outposts one by one, Lunahan suggested eagerly. Even if we destroy an outpost daily, the Balavies will simply retreat to Pelek Bao, and the Separatists will keep sending reinforcements. Ultimately, it won't lead us to victory. Depa Bilaba concluded, looking towards the Dream Sisters. I need you to infiltrate Pelek Bao. Rainbow, select a few to ensure their safety. On this planet, we don't require protection, Master, Lunahan confidently stated. In a large city like Pelek Bao, the situation may be different, but we're prepared. Depa Bilaba, with a resolve in her voice, declared, I want to lead the Karunai to victory. Her determination was clear, reflecting her commitment to ending the conflict and guiding her people toward triumph. Sergeant Rainbow, aware of the challenges of blending in due to their uniform appearance, suggested a cautious approach to infiltrating the city. He proposed a small, capable team, including his two brothers, Beard and Leaf, whose distinct physical features made them less likely to be recognized. Depa Bilaba, understanding the importance of the mission, agreed and instructed the selected group to target Pelekbao City. Their objective was to locate and destroy the control center for the Separatists' air and space weapons, and if possible, to demolish the spaceport, severing the enemy's connections with the outside world. Luna Meng, with a bow of respect, assured Depa Bilaba of their commitment to the mission. Luna Huan, exuding confidence, playfully reassured their master, promising success without the risk of detection. Depa Bilaba, though touched by their loyalty and bravery, couldn't hide her concern for their safety and the weight of the task ahead. Meanwhile, in the outer reaches of the Milky Way, within hut space on the planet Kronte, a scene of devastation unfolded. A battered Chaser-class battlecruiser loomed in the planet's atmosphere, while V-19 Torrent light fighters patrolled the skies. Below, the remnants of the Extractor Project experimental base lay in ruins, littered with the debris of combat robots and the fallen soldiers of the Fourth Civilization, their bodies clad in Liberator combat uniforms. Amidst the wreckage, hundreds of clone troopers scoured the area for valuable intelligence. Jedi Master Shen Zhan stood solemnly in the partially collapsed control center, surrounded by the lifeless adversaries he had faced in battle. The silence was a stark reminder of the cost of war, a moment of reflection amidst the chaos of their mission. This narrative captures the gravity of their endeavors, the sacrifices made, and the unwavering resolve of those committed to restoring peace and justice. Chapter 720, Between Darkness and Light. Jedi Knights, bound by their code, typically refrained from taking lives, especially those of unarmed individuals. However, the scene before Shen Zhan was a stark deviation from this principle. Over a dozen bodies lay before him, none of whom were armed combatants. Without a moment's hesitation, Shen Zhan had ended their lives. This act did not signify a betrayal of the Republic or the Jedi Order in the traditional sense, but it was a clear surrender to the dark side of the Force, an act the Jedi would undoubtedly view as a betrayal. The lightsaber in Shen Zhan's grip trembled, its kyber crystal resonating with discomfort against the dark energies being channeled through it. As Shen Zhan's grip tightened, a surge of dark side power flowed into the weapon, eliciting a faint cry from the crystal within. A clone trooper approached, breaking the tense silence. "General, we've secured the experimental base. It appears they've destroyed all data related to their experiments. We've rigged the facility with explosives. Once detonated, nothing of the Extractor Project will remain." Shen Zhan nodded in acknowledgement before inquiring about Severance Tan, a name that seemed to weigh heavily on his mind. The trooper reported no sightings of Tan, only mentioning a separatist general named Cheng Shitao, believed to be the mastermind behind the experiments, originating from the planet Dawn. With a nod, Shen Zhan decided it was time to leave and continue their pursuit of Severance Tan. As he exited the ruined control center, he cast a cold glance over the bodies strewn across the ground, a grim reminder of the mission's dark turn. His apprentice, Nat Reese, along with a team of hunters, approached on hoverbikes. Nat, a young woman of only 16, had already been deeply affected by the dark side, her face etched with the intent to kill. She reported capturing and executing all technicians who had attempted to flee, a decision that sparked a brief debate among the team. Shen Zhan, however, silenced any objections with a stern reminder of the importance of obedience in their ranks. The group quickly departed the scene, racing towards their shuttle to avoid any incoming separatist forces. Once aboard their Chaser-class battlecruiser, they made a swift escape into hyperspace, leaving behind the ruins of the experimental base for the arriving Higera-class battlecruisers to discover. Back on the cruiser, Shen Zhan contemplated their next move. Deciding to lay low, he planned to head to Smuggler's Moon, Narsada, in search of information. The conversation was interrupted by the arrival of a Nemoidian prisoner, Prul Baron, who pleaded for her life, promising valuable information in exchange for mercy. Shenjian, unmoved by her pleas, demanded to know the whereabouts of Severance Tan, his focus unwavering in the face of the dark path he had chosen. Polar Baron trembled as she spoke. She hails from the Dawn planet in the Western War Zone. How could I possibly know her current location? Shen Qiao'un pressed further. Then, what about Cheng Shitao? He was last seen on planet Aaron. That coward fled before I could confront him. He didn't even inform me of his departure. Weren't his forces later defeated by you? He must be dead. Yes, certainly dead. Polar Baron's expression twisted grotesquely at the mention of Cheng Shitao. She was desperate for his death, fearing the exposure of her embezzlement and misappropriation of experimental funds and equipment. Shen Qiao'en responded icily. This individual still holds some value. Take her to the nearest Republic outpost and hand her over for trial. Leave the other prisoners here. Why not just kill her, Master? Natrace inquired. Gazing into the vast expanse of the universe through the porthole, Shen Qiao'en replied, We owe an explanation to my master, Master Windu. We can't return, can we? Natrace probed further. Our mission concludes with the defeat of Severance Tan, Shen Qiao'en stated, then turned and exited the bridge. On the planet Dagobah, located in the outer ring of the Milky Way, Das Mathael stood silently before a cave. The cave emitted an overwhelmingly dark power, akin to a black hole, its darkness so profound that not even light could pierce through. Yet Darth Marthael did nothing but observe. Unexpectedly, a voice emerged from behind him. I never imagined our paths would cross in such a manner. Tang Xiao, or should I address you as Darth Marthael? A figure materialized, its form gradually becoming clearer. It was an elderly man adorned in the brown robe of a Jedi Knight, his gray beard framing a face that was both majestic and kind. Jedi Master, Qui-Gon Jinn, this planet harbors the purest force in the entire galaxy, offering visions of many things, Darth Marthael remarked calmly. So have you seen the future of the galaxy? Qui-Gon Jinn inquired. I haven't, Qui-Gon Jinn replied, shaking his head. I've seen your determination to alter its course, but sadly, you've chosen the wrong path. Even if you emerge victorious in this war, your existence will only cast a darker shadow over the galaxy. Please remember to visit the original website for this book for the fastest updates. Vol 2, Chapter 721, Teacher's Kindness and Filial Piety. Darth Marthael was silent, his demeanor contemplative, as if he were wrestling with an internal dilemma. It was hard to tell if he sighed out of resignation or merely took a deep breath to compose himself. After a moment of reflection, he turned, his voice slow and deliberate. Do you know what I'm thinking? Although I can't discern your thoughts, I urge you to consider this matter carefully, replied the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn, his tone imbued with a serene heroism. Darth Marthael's expression shifted, a sly grin spreading across his face. Since the fall of the Galactic Republic is inevitable, and from its ashes, a new empire will inevitably rise. Then, his chuckle evolved into a boisterous laugh, echoing ominously. Why shouldn't I be the Emperor? He mused, his laughter intensifying, eyes gleaming with a terrifying fervor, accentuated by the dark side's influence, which added a golden hue to his gaze. And how would that make you any different from Darth Sidious? Qui-Gon Jinn inquired, his voice calm and unwavering. Darth Marthael's laughter subsided as he replied nonchalantly, If you don't try, how would you know? Qui-Gon Jinn diverted his gaze back to the abyssal cave, a hint of regret in his voice. It seems I'll never get to enjoy the black tea from planet Dawn. Would you like me to burn some for you? Darth Marthael offered. Would that actually reach me if you did? Qui-Gon Jinn asked, puzzled. On the planet Dawn, it's believed that burning something at a deceased's grave ensures its delivery to them, Darth Marthael explained. Qui-Gon Jinn reflected. It seems more like a way for the living to alleviate their longing for the departed. It could even evolve into a form of living sacrifice. Ah, such practices belong to the feudal era, Darth Marthael remarked with a smile. And when was the planet Dawn in its feudal age? Qui-Gon Jinn probed. Darth Marthael simply smiled, offering no response. You have failed, Darth Marthael. Darth Plagueis' voice thundered in accusation. You betrayed me. In the end, you achieved nothing. You cannot control your power. You are merely a slave to it. Look at yourself. Who are you? To whom does your will truly belong? Voice seemed to emanate from every direction. You are not even close to Darth Sidious. You don't deserve to be compared to him. You abducted everyone from the Fourth Civilization for your own ambitions. Yet, you still failed. The dark side of the Force. The Force of death. You never truly possessed it. It was the power that chose you, not you who wielded the power. What did I see? What did I feel? What did I teach you? The world around Darth Marthael seemed to whirl, the dense jungle around him morphing into a nightmarish scene. Trees twisted and contorted, their branches reaching out like claws. Suddenly, the trees transformed into countless figures of Darth Plagueis, their bodies decayed and emitting a foul stench. They removed their respirators, revealing jawless mouths that turned into pitch-black voids. The horde of Darth Plagueis swarmed Darth Marthael, tearing at his flesh, reveling in his pain, and echoing curses that flooded his mind. He was unable to move or scream, only able to endure the torment with wide-open eyes. Abruptly, Darth Marthael awoke at the cave's entrance, the surroundings in disarray, as if a tornado had passed. The haunting questions of Darth Plagueis still echoed from the depths of the cave. What did I see? What did I feel? What did I teach you? In that moment, Darth Marthael felt as if struck by an unseen force, knocking him to the ground. He clutched at his throat, gasping for air as the pressure intensified, blood trickling from his nose. Just as he was on the brink of suffocation, he finally... Regaining control of his body, Darth Marthael collapsed to the ground, exhausted. The ethereal form of Qui-Gon Jinn appeared above him, observing with a mix of disdain and curiosity. This marks the 7th time, Sep, since your arrival here. You must understand, the dark side of the Force is far from a gift, young Sith Lord. Do you believe you wield power? In truth, it is power that wields you. Is there a solution? Darth Marthael asked, his voice barely a whisper as he lay sprawled on the ground, gazing indifferently at the sky above. Perhaps, but why would I of all people seek to save a Sith Lord, a being with so much blood on his hands? Qui-Gon Jinn mused, his tone rhetorical. I was merely curious to see how you would meet your end. Struggling to his feet, Darth Marthael adjusted his disheveled attire. There's no need for mockery, Master Qui-Gon. I'm well aware of the source of my predicament, Darth Plagueis. Your master. Indeed, it's hard to believe that the galaxy's esteemed financial magnate was, in fact, a Sith Lord, Qui-Gon Jinn remarked, a hint of surprise in his voice. And you never suspected that Chancellor Palpatine was Darth Sidious, did you? Darth Marthael countered. It leads me to believe that the fall of the Republic, and perhaps even the Jedi Order's decline, was inevitable. Qui-Gon Jinn shook his head, sighing deeply. Like Darth Tenebris before him, Darth Plagueis has also left his mark on you. Darth Marthael raised his hands, examining them closely. A Sith Lord trusts no one, not even when I pledged my utmost loyalty, not even when I sacrificed everything on the Dawn planet for him. He still ensured he had a contingency against me. Ah, the legacy of your Sith Lords, passed down through generations in more ways than one. The apprentice plots against the master, and the master anticipates the betrayal of the apprentice. Have you considered when Darth Lilim might attempt to end you? Qui-Gon Jinn asked, his tone laced with sarcasm. I owe a debt to the planet Dagobah. Without its unique properties, I might still be ensnared by darkness, oblivious to the gift Darth Plagueis left for me. But that's beside the point, Darth Marthael said, ignoring Qui-Gon's jibes. He turned his gaze back to the cave, lost in thought. What did he see in there? What did he feel? What did he teach me through that experience? Vol 2, Chapter 722, Break Through the Milky Way. It doesn't seem like you're overly concerned about Darth Plagueis, Qui-Gon Jinn observed. Darth Marthael glanced at Qui-Gon Jinn and responded. Darth Plagueis never anticipated his own death. In fact, he never even considered the possibility. That's the real reason he was killed by Darth Sidious. The method he used on me was certainly not some simple pathogen or retrovirus. I've been pondering over it these past few days, and I've come to believe that what he most likely sought was the power of immortality, the essence of life itself. Pathogen. Retrovirus? What sinister experiments have your Sith Lords been conducting? Qui-Gon Jinn's expression turned grave. Ah, of course, I wouldn't bother explaining this to a Jedi Master long past, would I? Darth Marthael retorted with a smirk. The nightmares that have haunted me recently aren't the specter of Darth Plagueis. Rather, They stem from a dark force, a remnant of him that lingered before his demise, Darth Marthael shared nonchalantly. Qui-Gon Jinn surveyed the disarray around them and smiled, clearly unimpressed by Darth Marthael's apparent ease. But Darth Marthael's gaze drifted to the cave. When Darth Plagueis bestowed upon me the Sith title, he gave me a name not of this world. It was meant to align with that individual's power. It's no mere coincidence. Qui-Gon Jinn remained silent, listening intently. So, what did Darth Plagueis see? What did he sense? Darth Marthael pondered aloud. And what did he teach you? Qui-Gon Jinn inquired, his interest piqued. That's the one thing I haven't deciphered yet, Darth Marthael admitted as he turned and ventured deeper into the jungle. I'm hungry. Let's find something to eat. Before long, he returned with a bizarre creature, bipedal and wide-mouthed. After cleaning its guts and skin, the pungent smell of its innards soon attracted various beasts of the jungle, yet none dared approach within 20 meters of Darth Marthael, their instincts warning them of the grave danger he posed. Darth Marthael gathered some dead branches, raised his hand, and with a burst of lightning, ignited the wood. He then began roasting the meat, piece by piece. You seem to be divulging everything to me. These might be the darkest, deepest secrets of the entire galaxy. Is it really wise to share them so freely? Qui-Gon Jinn, though only a spirit, floated over and assumed a seated posture, as if to enjoy the barbecue. You can't leave this planet, and no one else will come here. Perhaps Master Yoda might, and if he does, I wouldn't hesitate to discuss these matters. By then, everything will have already been decided. Darth Marthael explained. Besides, setting aside our differences, I genuinely respect you, Master Qui-Gon. When our civilization faced a crisis, you aided us without a second thought. You're not as corrupt, inflexible, or politically entangled as the Jedi Order has become. You should seek Master Yoda's assistance with Darth Sidious's predicament, Qui-Gon Jinn suggested. Darth Marthael scoffed. You're the one asking, Master Qui-Gon. The Jedi Order deserved to be dismantled long ago for the sake of the Force's balance. It's not about the balance of the Force, but rather your own ambition. You never considered any other option from the start, did you? Even when you and the Dawn planet were still vulnerable, you were already plotting your rise to power. Qui-Gon Jinn accused sharply. From the perspective of the Dawn planet's inhabitants, you should have steered clear of this war. It was you who instilled the idea of war in your people, dragging them into this conflict, and you're the only one who stands to benefit. Darth Marthael chuckled darkly. Let me share a story with you. Not long ago, a powerful ruler named Cao Cao led an army of 800,000 to confront another ruler, Sun Quan. Sun Quan's forces were significantly weaker, and he contemplated surrender. However, a man named Lu Su advised him that surrender was an option for everyone except him. He looked up at Qui-Gon Jinn, then continued. Lu Su spoke with a tone of conviction. If we surrender, officials like us under Cao Cao's command may be dismissed and sent back to our hometowns. Given our status, we could still mingle with the literati and be accompanied by carriages and horses. Over time, we might even rise to become mayors. But what fate awaits you under Cao Cao? He paused to savor a piece of barbecue before continuing. Do you see my point? When I awoke to find myself a manager, I realized I was the only one who couldn't afford to surrender. Therefore, I decided that everyone on the planet of Dawn must fight this one battle for me. Either I become the Emperor, elevating everyone with me, or the land will be strewn with corpses. After finishing his story, Darth Marthael quickly devoured the rest of his barbecue, wiped his hands without much care, and approached the cave once more. Have you made up your mind? Qui-Gon Jinn inquired. If I don't seek out the answers, then I'm merely a slave to power, Darth Marthael responded, casting a meaningful glance at Qui-Gon Jinn. When I had only a handful of followers, I vowed to conquer this galaxy. A mere planet like Dagobah won't deter me. With those words, he strode confidently into the cave. As soon as he entered, he was enveloped by a dark, potent, and pure force. He flailed his arms aimlessly before clawing through the dirt to emerge on the other side. What he encountered was a horrifying sight, rotting bodies resembling Darth Plagueis at the time of his death, each without a jaw, only a gaping maw, and a tongue slithering like a venomous snake. The stench of decay alerted these undead creatures to Darth Marthael's presence, and they surged towards him in a frenzied attack. With a swift motion, Darth Marthael unsheathed his blood-red lightsaber, its glow cutting through the darkness, accompanied by the wails of countless resentful souls. His swordsmanship was a spectacle of precision and grace, each stroke cleaving the shambling corpses of Plagueis into two. Vol. 2, Chapter 723, Madness. The decaying corpses of Darth Plagueis swarmed, launching an assault towards Darth Marthael. However, this time, Marthael was far from defenseless. The lightsaber in his grasp cut an indomitable path through the horde of undead. Lightning surged from his fingertips, incinerating the carrion into ash, while waves of force shattered them into fragments. On this venture, Marthael had forsaken little Claish's gauntlet, understanding that the true adversary he faced was an aspect of himself. The onslaught of Darth Plagueis's undead seemed limitless. Marthael's relentless assault decimated thousands, yet even a Sith Lord of his caliber found the endless battle taxing. The fallen carrion dissolved into a foul black liquid that seeped into the earth, only for new horrors to emerge in their place. These creatures, devoid of pain and endless in number, pressed on. Marthael sustained bites across his palms, back, and feet, navigating through the mass of decaying flesh with sheer determination. He pressed deeper into the cave, his blood-red lightsaber casting an ominous glow that made the shadows dance with ghostly figures. Amidst the chaos, the wraiths under Marthael's command turned the tide. They devoured the carrion of Darth Plagueis with voracious hunger, leaving nothing but ash in their wake. Empowered, Marthael's slaughter reached new heights of frenzy. The cave echoed with the clash of lightsaber against flesh, the crackle of lightning, and the roar of thunder. At the cave's entrance, the spirit of Qui-Gon Jinn watched in silence, his expression unreadable. Time lost meaning in the carnage, but as the wraiths continued their feast, the tide of undead began to wane. Finally, Marthael halted before a skeleton marked with countless enigmatic symbols. The presence of this skeleton caused the remaining undead to freeze and disintegrate. "Is this the answer I seek?" "No, it's not enough," Marthael mused, finding no clues on the skeleton. He summoned the wraiths, but instead of returning to him, they converged on the skeleton. Despite Marthael's efforts, the wraiths ignored his commands, enveloping the skeleton. Before his eyes, flesh and skin regenerated, bones reshaped, and a figure cloaked in black, with piercing eyes and a ventilator, stood before him, Darth Plagueis reborn. Taking a deep breath, Marthael faced Darth Plagueis, whose eyes bore into him with a chilling gaze. "It seems you can be killed?" Marthael ventured. Darth Plagueis's voice, deep and resonant, replied, "At least your mindset is that of a true Sith Lord, Darth Marthael. But alas, beyond that, you are lacking. You fail to grasp the essence of power. How then can you aspire to transcendence?" Darth Marthael stood defiantly, his voice cold and mocking. "You're just a lost soul who chose the wrong path, Plagueis." With a swift motion, he ignited his blood-red lightsaber, its hum filling the air. "What did I see? What did I feel? What did I teach you?" he taunted. Before him, Darth Plagueis's form seemed to waver, becoming almost ethereal, before solidifying once more, as he too summoned his lightsaber into existence with a sharp snap hiss. A sinister smile crept across Darth Marthael's face. You see, Darth Plagueis rarely resorts to using a lightsaber. No sooner had he spoken than Darth Marthael transformed into a swirling mist, charging forward. Darth Plagueis mirrored the action, and they clashed with the ferocity of a storm. Their movements were blindingly fast, reducing their figures to mere blurs surrounded by swirling clouds of dust. Their lightsabers, glowing fiercely, traced intricate patterns in the air, colliding with each other dozens of times in the blink of an eye. Despite his usual preference for other forms of combat, Darth Plagueis was a master of all 7 forms of lightsaber combat. He fluidly transitioned between styles, now forceful and heavy, now swift and aggressive, now cunning and unpredictable. Darth Marthael found himself on the defensive. Although he was a formidable lightsaber duelist, he was outmatched by Darth Plagueis's superior skill and versatility. The battle raged on, their high-speed maneuvers leaving the cave walls scored with scorching marks, invisible to the naked eye. The force of their combat sent shards of rock flying like shrapnel, only to be caught in the tumultuous dance of their powers. The debris whirled around them, grinding into finer dust within the tornado of force they generated. You fail to grasp the true nature of power, and it will be your undoing. I will be reborn through you. Darth Plagueis declared, his attacks growing faster and more ferocious. What did I see? What did I feel? What did I teach you? Darth Marthael pondered these questions even as he fought with all his might. The Darth Plagueis before him, whether real or an illusion, was the most formidable adversary he had ever faced. Their previous sparring sessions paled in comparison to this deadly encounter. Darth Marthael knew that to continue on this path would lead to his demise. These questions haunted him, seeking answers. As he reflected on them, his eyes began to glow with a golden light, signaling a newfound resolve and perhaps the key to overcoming the challenge before him.